And just like that, we're live.
We are. This is our first ever live stream of our Into the Wilderness podcast, which is rather exciting. The format of today is actually going to be very informal. So hopefully we're going to get people calling in on different topics that we're going to be discussing throughout the whole show. And you can talk about anything. Any opinion is valid.
Yeah, any country-related topic, we're going to tackle pretty much everything. And to kick us off, we've got a guest who has been seen, probably most well-known, on Field Sports Channel. And Kai is on the phone with us. Kai, how are you doing on this rather wet night? Is it wet down where you are?
Very well, thank you very much. Very well. I'm further down south than you and not flooded, but no, everything's all good, thank you.
Now, tell me, you're on Field Sports Channel. How long have you been doing that? I can't quite remember when you first got there.
The Field Sports Channel has been from earlier on this year, really. I started off with Team Wild last year, and just purely by accident, I started off doing the game fairs for my catering company at Kelmarsh, and Team Wild approached me and said, would I be interested? So I started doing a few bits of them, enjoyed it very much, and went on from there. I then decided to go to Field Sports Channel. I've got a good relationship with David and James and Charlie. David is local to me as well. I've worked with him before years ago with Mark Gilchrist.
Oh, of course.
Doing some ferreting. Yeah, doing some ferreting in the Kent Marshes. So I've always had a bit of a connection there, and me and David seem to get on well together. We work quite well, and from then on, we just started this new series called Hunt and Cook. I say new; it's been out for a few months now.
Yeah, no,
and then
I've actually seen some of that, and it's really good. It really goes back to, I guess, raw hunting,
and the reason for doing it in the first place. One in particular that springs to mind is what you did in. Was it Norway you were in when you did the reindeer?
Yes. Yeah, that was an absolutely amazing experience. And to be honest, I was quite lucky because I have a good friend I call Trigger. You've probably seen some of the videos. He's my good Norwegian friend, and he's an expert with deer management as well. But he has friends that live in the remotest parts of Norway and every year they go reindeer stalking. So I was quite privileged to be able to join them on this hunt, and it's one of those things that I would say that money can't buy, because it's literally, I was a great company, and it was just an amazing experience. And apparently, according to those guys, the footage that we got from that particular hunt was something that some people wouldn't see in like 10, 15 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
We got some, and David couldn't make that trip, so we were winging it in the way that my friend Trigger, luckily he had a bit of camera savvy on him, and he could operate a camera, and I could operate a camera as well. Together we made this footage, and of these reindeer. You can see them coming over the mountains, like it was literally like an army. At one point, we were waiting for 2 days, just waiting, not seeing anything. And obviously, you've got the glaciers at the top there, just mountains, absolutely stunning scenery. And all of a sudden, you just see this massive wave of these reindeer coming on the glacier pass. And then we had to run basically parallel with them and kind of almost cut them off and take our chance when we could, because we've only got 2 tags. And luckily, we were able to fulfill both those tags during the week. But we took a nice reindeer buck, and the guys there who've been doing it every year was teaching me basically how they do the carcass preparation up on the hillside.
That was phenomenal. When I watched, in fact, we're gonna find it, and we're gonna live link the link to that video. But yeah, that carcass preparation I've never actually quite seen anything like it before.
Just for sorry, we're just going to say, just for people listening, because we can see on the screen to the right of us, the viewers are going up, so people are watching. So thank you very much for joining in.
Yeah, big thank you.
We will be putting stuff up throughout the show on the podcast Into the Wilderness page, and Facebook page. So we'll be continuing to put up links of stuff that's being discussed throughout the program, and various other things that. Anything that's discussed, we're going to try and put up on the Facebook page. I'm sitting in front of a laptop, so if I'm looking a bit distant, that's because I'm concentrating on the laptop.
And if I'm looking at my phone, I'm not being...
He's not ignoring people.
I'm reading messages from people so that we know what they're asking. But we'll try and find the link to what you're just about to tell us about now, and we'll try and stick it up on the
screen. We will, and just before we carry on with the conversation, this show is available to be anyone can phone in, and we're away to get into the nitty-gritties very shortly of some interesting topics. But if you want to call in at any point, it's 0131 618 8885. We'll put that on our Facebook page, Podcast Into the Wilderness, as well. It's all over. It's also on the YouTube description. So if you want to call in, let us know. And if you can't get hold of us, it's probably because someone else is on the phone.
So the best thing to do then is just ping us a message on the live stream on YouTube or on Facebook. Tell us that you're trying to get hold of us, and then we'll let you know when it's free, and then you can call back. But yeah, sorry, Kai, after all that, so everybody knows about calling in, yeah, tell us about that preparation and, you know, getting that meat out of this massive wilderness that you're in, because that was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, what you don't see on camera on the video itself is we start off at the bottom of the mountains, which was literally about, it must have been about 25 degrees. It was hot in Norway at that time of year in September. And we got these quad bikes halfway up the mountain, and that's when the path shut down. So we had to walk about 7 hours with 25 kilos on our back for the food for the next 5 days. Because these guys have got a cabin, they've got a cabin up there that they've had for like 15 years, and they've built themselves, and it's a long trek to get up there. So once you're up there, you're stuck up there. You can't just bring the meat down to the fridge or anything, or drag it down with a quad, because all you have is yourself and what you've got on your back. So it was quite interesting, really. So we shot the buck, and then the two guys, a guy called Inga and a guy called Ulla Bjorn, like both experienced reindeer hunters who've been doing it since childhood, so for probably over 25 years. And they showed me the carcass preparation, which is the way you skin it, and you would kind of you joint the animal up on its own skin. If you remember seeing that.
Yeah, I did. It was with the thing that amazed me was the way that we would normally take the forelegs off a beast when it's hanging in the larder, or we carry a lot of stuff off the hill, and Daryl and I in the series that we were doing, and we would normally use that to make a backpack with it. But they were actually using it to stretch out the skin, and I thought that was amazing to have this clean area. Well, I say clean, it's the animal's underside of its skin, which it is clean because that's what the meat's wrapped in, to work on. I mean, that's just brilliant, and it's a testament to those old world skills that we kind of don't see very much anymore. Yeah,
definitely, and it's pretty hygienic because it is the animal's the inside of its own skin. So we stretch it out, we joint in a certain way, and we put it in these sacks, these sterilized sacks that we have, and put it back in our backpacks and walk down to the cabin, and then we hang out there for a few days. But we shot 2 reindeer by the end of the week, and so when it comes to the last day, the last job is, once you pack down, got all your stuff in your bag, is literally to just debone the meat. You're not going to take the bones with you. It's too much of a journey. So we all debone it completely, then wrap it back up, take it back down, and then at the end of the day, it goes back in the chiller down at the bottom. So it is absolutely an amazing experience, and I learned a lot of skills, as you would say, like old skills that these guys have been handed down, which I'll probably, that always stay with me now on.
Yeah, once you've been shown them, you've sort of been given the key. Now, I had one question. It's something that I really wanted to know, but I don't think it was mentioned in the actual film. Was that muslin cloth that you were wrapping it in? Or what was the cloth that you wrapped after you air dried the meat?
The cloth? Yeah, it was kind of like a muslin type sack type thing that we have.
Okay, it was.
Yeah. It was like, just because it needs to be quite breathable, because you don't want the meat to sweat. So that's why we use that kind of material. If you're using plastic bags and things like that, the meat's going to sweat. So we kind of use that kind of material, the muslin type material, wrap it all up, because it's dried by then anyway. Because as you see in the video, we joint all the pieces, and then we lay them down just to air dry for a little bit, just so they're not wet when they put in the sacks.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Now, your focus of the kind of films that you make is very much about the food. It's about hunting for food. I mean, why is that so important to you? And if you take that one step further, why should that be important to everybody?
Well, to me, it started at childhood. I grew up in Snowdonia in North Wales. Not really big on hunting there. There's not many places for deer. There is some places, but it's not a big culture of hunting, I would say. But I grew up with fishing when I was younger, and then when I moved down to Kent, when my dad changed jobs, I started doing a lot of air rifle shooting. As a family, we started doing like medieval reenactments.
Oh, cool!
So we would start doing competitions, and I won quite a few competitions with a traditional longbow when I was younger, and that kind of it's almost like you hunt a field target. You do with the air rifles, but it was like field target shooting with the archery, and I did that since I was about 10, 11 for quite a few years, and it kind of got me into the bug of being out in the wild and trying to do that side of things. And when I got into school, I started working in the catering industry for a while, thinking that's what I wanted to do, working in a pub, which lasted a couple of years, and then I started working in the nuclear industry, which is a bit of a change.
Oh, right, okay. But, it's a little bit like my split life. 6 months of the year I hunt, and the other it's in the oil.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, I've worked in the nuclear industry for 10 years now, so it's a bit of a contrast to what I do. But I literally left school, so I went into catering, but I've always had the ambition of cooking. And it wasn't only until, let's say, 5 years ago, basically when I started the business, that I thought actually I could find my love of hunting and cooking together and put something, and like try and start a business from it, which I've done, which I'm very pleased that it's growing, and wild food seems to be getting out there, and everyone's getting more aware of it, and everyone wants to try it.
Yeah, and what wild food has really, I would say, kicked off in the last few years, especially with the popularity of bushcraft activities. Well, they're becoming more popular, I would say. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that people are getting more interested in foraging and wild meat?
I just think really as a nation, like the past 20 odd years, like we're not really renowned to be up there, with the best food in the world. Britain, a lot of people outside the UK tend to think that we have boring diets and things like that, but really, like this whole new wave now, all these TV programs and these chefs like promoting wild food and game. It's made people aware of actually what's out there, and the ethical reasons and the organic reasons and all that, everything that's behind it. A lot of people are getting health, on the health side. The game is healthy, so there's that side of it as well. And I think that's what it is. It's having a good name for itself, and a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are doing the right thing, and it's definitely improving. You're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I think to some extent, I think yourself and Daryl are right. There is definitely this core of people that are driving that forward, including some quite well-known chefs. But equally, you see this a lot on social media, where you have this constant barrage against hunting. Now, most of that is focused against trophy hunting, but equally, I was reading some tweets and comments on Facebook and stuff the other day about people saying, why can't you stick to eating cows and sheep?
We'll actually be reading some of these tweets out when we cover social media responsibility, basically. And there is people saying, why can't you just eat cows and sheep?
What is your response to that? If someone says to you, you're cruel, you're barbaric. I mean, look at you. You went all the way out to Norway and you shot a poor reindeer. I mean, Santa Claus nearly never came this year because of you. Why can't you just, go and eat a cow and eat a sheep? I mean, what is your response to that? Somebody tackles you.
Well, I get these questions a lot, and I think if anyone's into hunting and anyone's doing the type of stuff that we all do, I think like my question to them is like, hey, like, do you eat meat yourself? And they're like, yes. I said, well, look, when I pick up when I grab my meat from the freezer, I have an emotional attachment to that meat. I am responsible for it, and I'm comfortable with that. I've taken it. I've selected the right animal, whether it be an old one or the correct one to take, and I am 100% comfortable with that, because I think in my mind I've got that kind of I've got that what I'm trying to say is with that animal I'm attached to that animal type thing. So when you go to the supermarket and buy your pack of sausages and buy your pork chop, whatever, yes, okay, it is meat, but you have no emotion to that. You someone else has done it for you. So my way of saying it is, well, look, I'm comfortable with what I do. The animals I take are the correct animals to take, but nothing's factory farmed, nothing's mass farmed, everything is pure, it's organic, it's ethical. You can't get any better than what the meat that's in my freezer that I put into my mouth and feed my family and my friends.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely. I mean, that's pretty much my response. And I'd go one step further depending on the mood that I'm feeling in. And I would ask that same question: do you eat meat? And if the answer to that is yes, after them giving me abuse for killing something, I would say, well, who's the hypocrite? Yeah. You're quite prepared for somebody else to kill meat so that you can eat it, but you won't do it yourself. Oh no, but I eat farmed meat is normally the same response. So, well, think about what you've just said for a minute, and maybe you would reconsider. I mean, think about abattoirs.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important that, to not argue with people when you're doing this, because sometimes people just need to be educated. So I think if someone's saying to you, how can you do this? I'll say, okay, look, take a step back. Let me explain to you about myself, what I do, and then we'll revisit the question, and then, and then we'll go from there, because a lot of people don't have the knowledge that we have. A lot of people think when you shoot a deer, it's that same deer that we see off the Bambi cartoon of Disney. It's not. And it's really important that people understand, everything, the ethics that go with hunting. We're not just killers. If I shoot an animal, when people say I do not feel anything for that animal, I still have an emotional wave every time I do that, because it's a big part of me, and it's what I do. I get the adrenaline rush. I've hunted it. I've put the work. I've stalked it. Sometimes I spend hours stalking an animal or certain animals, and none of them are correct to take, and you just have to walk away for another day. And that's the way hunting is, and it's about management and control, and that's what a lot of people that don't understand. So if you educate people on everything that we do and the reasons for it, a lot of people turn around to, actually, I see your point, and a few people have actually said to me that I'm going to start eating game, which is amazing for me.
Mark's just messaged me. Thanks for messaging Mark. And he's going back to the food, and he's basically saying it's knowing exactly where your meat has come from, which I think is a very good statement to make. Just quickly there, I am aware that there's a few people trying to get through on the phones, and call back and just message us if you can't get through, and then we'll be aware of it, and we'll try and get through to you in a second. There's a few missed calls going on here. We will get to you very, very shortly. In the meantime, head to our podcast Into the Wilderness Facebook page. Also, follow us on Twitter at Pace Brothers ITW. If you need to call the studio, it's 0131 618 8885. And if you can't get through, please hold on. Thank you for everyone that's watching so far. We've got quite a few people watching.
That's brilliant.
Please keep sharing and get other people involved. And you can be involved. We're going to be going into topics head first very shortly.
Yeah. Now, Kai, I know that you're a bit limited on time, so there's one thing I do want to just cover with you quickly before we let you go, and that is
That's cool.
in the hunting world, you've become a bit of a hunting celebrity. In the slightly wider media, we've got a lot of celebrities who are anti-hunting. Ricky Gervais being one, and we'll come. We're going to bring him up again.
We're bringing Ricky back in.
Yeah,
don't you worry.
He's going to come
Ricky,
back in.
you have a lot to answer for, my friend.
But the one thing I wanted to pass by you was this common theme that we keep seeing with female hunters being dragged up in the media and and really bashed around for the hunting that they've been doing. I mean, what is your take on that, and what would you say to defend them, if you want to defend them? Maybe you don't want to.
No, I mean, it's a good subject to talk about, and I do sit on the fence with some of this stuff. I'm not going to mention any names here whatsoever because it's not what I'm going to do. But
we will be later. Don't worry.
We'll do it for you.
We'll do it for you.
Well, I'm friends with a few female hunters, and a lot of them are very competent and brilliant, and they know. They share the same views as I do. They eat what they shoot, and they don't mind getting their hands dirty. But there is this kind of glamour side to it, and a lot of it's like American huntresses type things, which just.
I mean, I guess Kendall Jones would be the most well-known, what you call cheerleading hunter.
She's had a lot of abuse.
She's had a lot of abuse for big game hunting, giraffes.
Your fellow Field Sports channel,
Michaela.
Yeah, Michaela. Well,
she gets an almighty amount of abuse online, and we are going into online abuse at some point in the show. It actually ties in quite heavily with female hunting, just because for some reason they seem to be one of the biggest targets for online trolling, abuse, bullying, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's a fashion right now, isn't it? It's like you're saying, it's a whole Ricky Gervais type scenario where everyone seems to be really clamping down on or giving abuse to some. But to be honest, with some of these female huntresses, they don't do themselves any favour.
Yeah, I think that's the key.
I think you could say the same with some male hunters as well. But I do know where you're coming from with some of the stuff. Yeah,
it's all about right picture and posing next, and it's just, like, for me personally, I'm not a trophy hunter. People out there that are trophy hunters, and that's what they want to do. Then that's up to them and their morals and the way they want to do it. But I'm a meat hunter myself. I don't particularly go after the biggest biggest horns. Because it's a lot of money, and it's I'd rather spend that money on other things. But for some of these. The female huntresses, we put a lot of work into promote the reasons why we do it ethically and everything that I explained previously in this conversation. And it's sometimes for some of these things that come up from these female hunters, it's kind of like just counterproductive to what we're trying to do and trying to get the message across. So then you can see the public, you've got this image that all of us are like these kind of people who just want to shoot the biggest head and get a picture with them, and then, like I said, like kind of the cheerleader and stuff like that, and it starts becoming a household name in a negative way, and it's not good for the sport, if you know what I mean. When I say sport, it's not good for what we do.
Yeah. No, I think I absolutely agree with you, and it's all about public perception as well.
It is, and we're going to go very much into social media and female hunters a bit more, but we've kind of touched on Ricky Gervais. Like I said, we're going in and out of topics all night, but we've touched on Ricky Gervais. Now, Rebecca Francis, an American hunter, you more than likely would have seen her on Ricky Gervais's account. She's the one that's lying next to a giraffe. Lying down on the ground next to a giraffe. She's also got there's about one with a bear as well, and various other things. Now, Ricky Gervais has a lot of pull. We're going to be talking about him for a wee while, just because of the amount of he has over 10 million people on his Twitter. Now, his post about the giraffe, which was about Rebecca Francis, was seen by 27 million people in just one day on Twitter. And he basically gave her abuse. I mean, he said, "You managed to shoot a stationary 14-foot peaceful creature with a high-velocity rifle, very sporting." I mean, I don't know what people's take is on this. Please call in, get in touch, what you think about this. Also, another tweet: "After killing that giraffe out the kindness of her heart and feeding the poor locals, she had these for pudding." And he was talking about the bear after that, I think. Now, Rebecca Francis went on to the BBC to say that due to Ricky Gervais, she received thousands of death threats. She basically said, "It shocks me that people that claim to be loving and caring for animals can turn around and threaten to murder and rape my children." That's from the BBC Newsbeat website. That bit there. So
yeah, just I think sometimes the people who are slinging need to have a little bit of a look at the kind of things they're saying against people. But I really want to have you on again, like as a full podcast. But I know that you got to get away, and thank you so much for your time. I think that everybody's learned something, and it's been really a great pleasure to speak to you. And yeah, hopefully at some point in the future you'll find time to come on, and we'll do a full show with you.
Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to come up and do a full podcast and talk to you more about wild food. And there's so much subjects and things to do with wild food that we can just go into for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, I've really enjoyed coming to talk to you today. So thank you for the opportunity, and I will look forward to doing this podcast with you again.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for sharing.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Stay well. Happy New Year.
No,
when it comes.
Thank you very much, and yourself. Take care. Bye.
Thank you very much for Colin McCarthy for tuning in New York, which is pretty good.
All the way in NYC.
Yeah, all the way.
Cheers, Colin.
Thank you very much for tuning in. The viewers are still going up, which is good. I hope it continues to go up. We are, in fact, recording this podcast, so it will be released with our other podcasts in the coming week. We've got how many out? We started.
I think we've had 8 out.
We've had 8 out. And literally thousands of people have been downloading, which is fantastic. It has been a great success on iTunes. The amount of people downloading is absolutely brilliant. And if you like it, write a review on iTunes, please, because it'll help boost it a little bit.
Now, the one thing we didn't say at the start of this, because we had a few technical delays of getting this up, and I know that Kai was waiting, was that we are only able to bring this to you because of the support by the Scottish Association for Country Sports, who sponsor all of these podcasts and basically make this possible.
And contrary to belief, they do not actually censor us.
No, they support it because they like what we do, but we say what's on our mind, which I think is what people like, and we ask the questions which I think need to be asked.
And awkward questions as well, because sometimes we do have to ask questions that people don't like to talk about, and there's a lot of things going on that people don't like to talk about. And now Byron was saying technical difficulties earlier on, and that is due to the flooding, basically. I don't know if anyone noticed, we're actually based in Marykirk, in Scotland right now, and it's flooding. Just down the street from me, there's a few houses underwater, unfortunately. And if you go on STV News, we've got a call coming in. Yeah, we'll just take this. Hello, welcome to the Into the Wilderness podcast.
Hello, Into the Wilderness podcast. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you fine.
Oh, excellent.
Sorry, who are we speaking to?
Sorry. Hi, my name's Colin McCarthy. I'm an Englishman, but I live and work in New York now. I live in New Jersey and work in New York. So
we just saw your message on Facebook. Thank you very much for watching all the way in New York.
Yeah, what time is it over with you?
Pardon?
What time is it over in New York right now?
Oh, it's only coming up to 2:20, so we're only 5 hours behind. So very, very manageable and also it's a quiet day at work, so I've got time to tune in and watch the show.
No, we appreciate that.
What is it you do, Colin?
Sorry, the line's not very clear. I'm actually being sneaky and calling via my London office with a bit of magic of technology through our network.
What is it you do, Colin?
Where have I? Sorry.
No, what is it you do for a living?
Wait a minute. Let me call back on another line.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We'll take it back.
Okay. Thank you for calling in.
The wonders of technology.
Yeah, wonders for technology.
Hopefully, we'll hear from him again in a minute.
But I'm not sure. Technology always fails when you try and bounce it through London and then come back to Scotland, which is currently flooded. Now, if anyone wants to call into the show, it's 0131 618 8885. And thank you for everyone that's watching so far. We're going to be discussing a huge amount of topics today. Driven grouse, John Muir Trust, tail docking, Ricky Gervais has actually already come up. Semi-auto guns, lead ammunition, Cecil Line, that's coming back up again.
It wouldn't be a podcast.
It wouldn't be a podcast without Cecil Line. We're also going to be talking about females in hunting. We've already slightly touched on that, but we are going to go further into it. We're going to be going into social media responsibility and consequences, which is a big one. It actually winds me up quite a bit, actually.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, hang on. I think this is Colin, so let's try this again.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello.
It's just Colin, is it?
Hang on, I'll turn the television.
Oh, who's this?
No, it's not.
It's I sound an Englishman from down south.
I think this might be Phil.
I can't hear you very much.
Can you hear us now?
A little bit.
So who are we speaking to?
You're speaking to Adam Rowan.
Oh, hi. How are you doing? Was that Adam?
Adam. Yeah.
Hi, Adam. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I would like to bring up the issue of the anti-Facebook pages.
Okay, yeah, fire away. What's on your mind?
Oh, that's loads on my mind.
Well, yes, start with one thing.
The aggression, the negative attitudes. I mean, really, at the end of the day, they don't understand what's happening. I mean, sending death threats to hunters and their families. Do you know what I mean? Which is a constant. It's happening constantly.
Yeah, I mean, this really does go into our social media responsibilities and consequences of people sending stuff online. Just before we continue, if anyone out there is against hunting, or
we want to hear
from you. We want to hear your side of the story as well. So please call in. But we are going to carry on. I'm just going to grab something while Byron continues.
Oh, right. Yes. But I know exactly what you're talking about, and we have a couple of examples which we're going to read a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I mean, we read this all the time, and there is a lot of death threats go around off the back of hunting. I mean, have you been party to this yourself in terms of has anybody given you death threats?
Loads of times. Many a time. I've got everything recorded, everything snapped, snapped, where you can have the pictures. I've got everything. I've had, up to now, I've had 4 visits from the police.
Really?
Is this people reporting you for false allegations?
Me,
is it?
Yes, reporting me. I've got my own Facebook page.
What's your Facebook page? Is it a public Facebook page?
It's called Hunters United.
Okay, we'll bring that up.
We'll bring that up. We'll put this on our podcast page. If anyone's listening right now, head to Podcast Into the Wilderness.
And what's the premise of your page?
The purpose of the page is actually, well, you know, I mean, there is a certain amount of anti-hunting pages out there at the moment, and there is certain pages which are highlighting hunters and their families, and they're basically naming and shaming them. Mm-hmm. The purpose of Hunters United is to name and shame them back.
Okay, I understand. Just a quick question. This is a problem. I understand they're naming and shaming hunters. In fact, we are actually very closely connected with someone that has been named and shamed across Facebook themselves.
Yes, I've been named and shamed myself.
It is, and it's quite disgusting, some of the things that people say about other people online. And I know for a fact that 99% of them would never say it to your face. And
no, they wouldn't.
And secondly, but my question being is, having a page set up that names and shames people, do you not think that fights fire with fire in a way? I'm just asking.
Backfires?
No, fights fire with fire, so it doesn't help the problem. That's what I'm asking.
No. Well, it does, because actually I've noticed a huge difference in the amount of death threats. They're virtually gone.
Oh, really?
They know. I mean, I've targeted a certain group, and I've kept that group in mind, and I've followed that group, and so have all of the users of my page. They've followed that group. We find something that shouldn't be posted. We will target that person
to get it shut down.
We will carry on targeting that person. I mean, I've had police come to the door, and it's funny. I've had different responses. I mean, I've had one response where the policeman actually came in and he sat for an hour with a cup of tea and biscuits. do you know what I mean?
And so quite understanding of the position.
Very understanding, because they understand what's going on. You can't go about making death threats to innocent people just because of their way of life. I understand about Andy people who don't like hunting, and I tell you what, I mean, I've got a great, I mean, it's a massive understanding of these people who do things to protect animals against animal cruelty.
Yeah, I mean, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's great.
There's a very gray area in terms of how it's reported, animal cruelty in hunting, but it is a completely separate issue.
Yeah, anti-hunters don't seem to think it's a separate issue, and they bring it up. They bring it upon themselves for the issue, that fact, and then they push it on the people. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that a lot of this, so we're also going to discuss this later on, is media bias? So basically anything that happens in the media, regardless if it's been illegal activity, poaching, for example, they straight away say hunter. So the word hunter is thrown around, or hunting is thrown around. So then all the legal hunters and gun owners are thrown into the same basket. And so the antis are, or people that dislike what you do, are targeting you on not good information.
Yeah, well, they do. They've got that information is all. It's biased and it's untrue. I mean, they targeted me, and they basically they tried to name and shame me on that one page.
I mean, just I don't know if you can, but can you tell us what you were being named and shamed about, just to give people listening an idea? What was the issue?
Basically, it was what it was. One of the members of the said group had issued a death threat to a hunter, an innocent hunter. It was actually a child. It was a child who had shot a deer. Mm-hmm. And one of the members had turned around and said, "They should. If I was there, I would turn the gun around and shoot him in the face or through the mouth."
Okay, well, I've actually got in front of me. I did quite a lot of extensive research, and it doesn't take much. Actually, some of the good, juicy stuff I couldn't find. I've seen it. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to read you. This was, in fact, almost the same thing what you just said. This is stuff people have written, and I will put this out there. This is explicit, so if there's young,
if
you're going to be offended,
if anybody wants to come to Hunters United, they will say the explicit stuff, because I post everything.
Yeah, the explicit stuff posted by, I guess it's sort of by.
But I'm just saying, for this show right now, I'm away to say some explicit stuff. So
which is quoted.
So which is quoted. So if you've got young children around, please just turn it off for the next minute. But don't turn it off.
Don't turn it off.
Turn the volume down.
Turn the volume
down. So okay, so this is on a picture with a 14-year-old boy. I think it's in America. He shot a white-tailed deer.
Yeah, it was a
white-tailed deer. And I'm just going to read you. I'll just read you one. Actually,
was there a name that the person who posted this?
Yeah, I've got it. Carol Cohen.
Just naming them and sharing them.
Well, it's all public. It's all public, so anybody can go and see this.
Yeah, I know,
Carol Cohen, you're a sick coward and a pervert that needs hanging.
Sorry, that was Carol Cohen wrote that.
Yeah,
wrote that about the picture. So needs hanging, and this was to a 14-year-old kid. I mean, can you imagine? Bearing in mind that this is somebody doing something which is completely legal, not illegal, legal activity, and somebody is telling a 14-year-old kid to go and hang themselves. I mean, what kind of person does that make them?
I know actually which group that came from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there is a comment further down, or maybe somewhere within the comments, where we targeted that certain person. Mm-hmm. And he didn't like it when we actually threatened him. Well, I did. Not personally threatened him, but I did mention that if his employers would be happy with the way he's spoke about the child.
I mean, that's an interesting point. I mean, so you've just read that and say that's about something in the UK. do you know, as somebody who's active in trying to defend people who are these things are being brought up against, what is your legal standpoint in, say, phoning up somebody's employer by looking at their Facebook page and telling them that? Do you know? I don't know personally. Which
I'm not entirely certain about it. But until it happens, well, I'll carry on doing it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all in the public. It's in the public domain.
It's in public domain, so anyone can see. I'm just going to read you out one or two more just for examples of what is being put online, and this really is going heavily into social media responsibility, but we're going to talk about a bit more about that, especially involving pictures and hunting about social. Because we're going to come into that, because everybody has a part to play here. Everybody, it doesn't matter who you are, you've got a part to play online. Now, I'm going to read you two things. Now, I don't actually have his name, but Ricky Gervais put up a picture. It was actually in June this year. A fairly well-known.
What a clown that person is! What a clown!
We're going to be going into him, and he retweeted the other day a picture of the trophy hunter that was trampled by the baby elephant. Which
was actually an old story.
It's actually an old story, and these are just some of the comments of that basically an article about that, and these are what people have written. Gwen Winterflood, good karma. It's a great thing. Couldn't have wished a better death for a murderer. Interesting.
What is this? What's this karma thing? What is the karma issue?
Well,
they seem to think karma is going to rule the world, isn't it? What the hell are they on about?
Cynthia, I can't actually say the rest of her name, I'm afraid. It's quite long. This is another thing. It's explicit once again. An asshole who killed for sport has been stopped from killing any more innocent animals. Sounds like something great has happened to him.
Now, this was a professional hunter.
Yeah.
So he is someone who himself isn't killing for sport. He will be culling or killing as part of some sort of greater management plan. This might be elephants that we're talking about here, but it doesn't really matter whether it's elephants or deer. We've mentioned this before in podcasts, and that's one thing that people don't seem to be able to get their head around the idea.
That's another issue, isn't it?
That's a totally different issue.
The money paid to hunt that animal actually goes back into the community.
Yes, yeah. No, I mean, I assume have you listened into our podcast before today?
No, I'm sorry, I haven't.
You haven't? Well, no, that's brilliant, because you're echoing something we've talked about before. Maybe you can go back and other people listening, if you like some of the bits that you're hearing, go back and check them out.
So our podcast, just for everyone else that's listening out there, we have other podcasts available. This is our first ever live one that we've done, which is quite amazing. And I believe we are actually...
Excellent, man. I'm pleased to be part of it.
No, we're really happy you called in.
This is the first live one, and we believe we are the first people to be doing a hunting countryside live-based podcast streaming on YouTube. In the UK I'm talking about, which is quite exciting. Our podcast has been downloaded by thousands of people, so thank you already. It's available on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. All you need to do is type in Pace Brothers Into the Wilderness onto iTunes, and it'll come up, and then our whole catalog is there, and we've discussed a whole manner of things.
Yeah. Now, I just have a question. I want to try and be devil's advocate here a little bit and flip it on its head. I mean, if you have so an example that comes up quite a lot, and I've expressed my distaste for this before in previous podcasts. You know, you have somebody who has a picture of a fox. That's quite a common one that they've shot, all legally done, but you know, it's pretty gruesome for whatever reason. You know, it might have been shot through the head, and so you've got a lot of blood and gore and everything. Now, everybody knows that happens. I mean, fox is vermin, and that's that's
something
fine.
I can say about that.
Okay, yeah, because just showing that online and gratifying it when you can still have respect for your quarry like that, but that is showing a massive lack of respect. I mean, would you defend somebody who's, you know, holding up foxes in two hands, not running down their arms?
I won't, no.
And I mean, in your own words, why?
It doesn't need to be seen. It doesn't need to be seen. The hunting isn't part of showing guts hanging out, brains hanging out, and all that stuff. It's not part of hunting. You don't need to show that. Now, on my group, Hunters United, I won't defend anybody who'll get a fox head and stick it on a post. I find that grotesque.
No, the reason I'm laughing.
And that's ammunition.
Yeah, the reason I chuckled there before anybody gets the wrong idea is I expressed my complete disdain for that when that happened, and I got kicked off a really big foxing group on Facebook, which didn't bother me here nor there. But I got kicked off.
I know which picture it was.
For expressing my opinion on that. They said, "Oh, you can't no longer be a member." And I said, "Well, I don't know if I really want to call you guys hunters or associate with you. I mean, that's the bottom line." And I said that in an open forum, so it's not something I haven't said before.
I've been kicked off so many groups because of my opinions. You know. I mean, I defend 100%, but you can only take it so far. Where if you do it to the point that it's grotesque and gruesome, you're giving the Andes ammunition. Mm-hmm. And there's no point in giving Andes ammunition for to point out the fact. I mean, it's horrible. I don't like it myself.
I think personally it shows I think what those people are showing is a massive lack of respect for what they're, they have irrespective of what it is, they're still taking something's life, and they're showing a massive lack of respect for that. Now, that life, be it a fox or be it a deer as part of a management call, that life needed to be taken because for the most part, you would hope that it should have been shot because that is, part of the management that you have for that ground. But you do it ethically, you do it quickly, you do it cleanly, you do it with respect. And I think and
that's the main thing. The respect. The respect is paramount. Mm-hmm. You can't do it without respect. And people who do it without respect, I don't call them hunters.
No,
I don't call them hunters.
We are aware that there's people trying to call in. Thank you very much. To call in, it's 0131 618 8885. If
you want to go?
No, we're not chasing your way.
We're not chasing your way. We're just making sure everybody knew.
We are aware that people are.
No problem.
We are aware people are trying to call and you cannot get through. Please
send us a message.
Fire us a message, and we'll try and get back to you. Or if not, when the phone call's finished, then just try and ring in again.
Yeah, ring in again.
We thanks for listening to us.
No, well, thank you very much for calling. We appreciate it. Go and check out the other podcast because I think you'll like what you hear.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much.
And please share it. Thank you. Bye.
I've shared a load of times.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye. Well, that was interesting.
What a great chat.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is what we love about tonight. It's the first time we've ever done this. And we're live. Anything's going. We still have a huge board that you can't see, but we can see, full of topics to discuss. We're slowly dipping in and out of all of the discussions. If you want to call, please call 0131 618 8885. We are aware that... Oh, we got another call coming in.
We'll just take this now.
Hello. Welcome to the Into the Wilderness podcast. Who are we speaking to?
Hi, mate. It's David Scott.
Oh, hi, David. How are you doing?
I am okay.
What's on your mind tonight? Is there anything particular that you wanted to express your opinion about?
Yeah. Basically, I just wanted, as you guys know, bear gunning and stuff into, but I wanted to just discuss, this might interact to your social media part, and it's a topic about hunt sabs, not so much about the kind of things that they do, but a kind of a hidden agenda that they all seem to have.
So I've over the last few days, I've actually been looking into hunt sabs quite a bit to discuss on this podcast, and I've never personally come in contact with it in the field or anything like that. I've never actually seen them. I'm aware that they are operating around our area in Scotland, and I am aware of what their purpose is. I do understand what they do. So, I mean, what? Carry on talking about what you're going to talk about, and I'll try and add in some stuff.
Yeah, it's just basically a hidden agenda that they seem to have. I got an invite from somebody I know to go over to one of the Hunt Sabs pages on Facebook. And I was just having a wee look about it, and he was really wanting some backup because he was trying to educate them. Basically, he was trying to say, look, you're against fox hunting, you're against this, you're against that. Obviously, foxes are a pest. What other way can would you suggest that you could get rid of foxes and control them? Basically got booted off for asking that. Now, I had about half an hour to spare, and I thought, I'll have a trawl through this and just have a wee look. And there's links to other hunt sab groups on each pages. You always see this, we teamed up with our friends from Yorkshire and Sheffield and so on. So I went on to 3 or 4 pages, and every single one of them, the people that ran the groups were all asking for money. Every single one of them.
I do see a lot of that asking for donations for fuel, Land Rover parts,
thermal images.
That's another big one. Cameras. That's another big one.
That's right.
That they ask money
GoFundMe.
for. Yeah. Basically, every group has a GoFundMe. Which
one of the guys that seemed to be a bit louder than the rest of them, and there was obviously a kind of admin on their Facebook page. He'd said that they had a vehicle ready to get hunt sabs to wherever they were going, but they didn't have enough insurance for it. And if anybody could help pay for the insurance, then fine. So I thought, well, it was 11:30 at night, and it was a bit quiet, and I sent him a personal message, and I said, listen, I might be able to help pay for your insurance. I said, but I would need the name and addresses and all the details. He says, obviously I can't give you that because we don't want to put our details out. So I said, well, I've got a company policy, and if you want to give me your car registration number, I'll put it on for anybody over 18 to drive it. Mm-hmm. So sure enough, he came on 2 minutes later, gave me the car registration number, and I put it into one of these insurance firms that I can't remember what one it was, don't want to mention it anyway. So I put it in, all the car details came up, and it was a 2-seater. It was a 2-seater smart car, hardly the kind of thing that you would want to take hunt sabs out in. Now, on this guy's page, I went on to it, had a look at it, and he was in a relationship with somebody. I clicked on that, went on to her pictures and scrolled down, and there's the 2-seater car. It was fully logoed up with her hairdressing, nails, all the bits and pieces. These guys are just absolutely using this to get their own insurance. There was another one, I scrolled back about a year, and they were looking for walkie-talkies, and they got £620.
Wow.
From people to get walkie-talkies.
So it's quite a profitable business then.
Yeah. The guy put the picture of him with 3 walkie-talkies on it, and you get 2 of them for $49.99 from Matlins.
So what do you do with the rest of the money?
Yeah, that's what I put on. I actually put on, listen, I know you've got your walkie-talkies. Where did the rest of the money go? 2 laddies and a girl came on and said, oh, we put money into that. We didn't use the walkie-talkies were so cheap. Where did the rest of the money go? Now, these 3 people are supporters of hunt sabs. They've obviously put money in. Those 3 people got banned straight away so that they couldn't say it. Just banned right off, and that was them. These people are into it for themselves. And I appreciate there's a lot of people that give them money because you think, oh, there's a cute wee fox and I like it, and if I send them some money I might get a stuffed furry fox and a hunt sabs t-shirt. But these are the people that they're actually relying on, and they're just absolutely doing it for themselves. That car that I offered to insure was a hairdresser's car.
So
there's no way you get into your camo and your whistles and your stores and get 8 of these to go to a sabotage a hunt in the back of a 2-seater.
We would love to hear from someone that has been involved in
either who is one.
We honestly we want to hear your opinion. What you do. We want to know what, because I've only seen online, and I am fully aware that stuff that goes online, you can take it with a pinch of salt. Either way, if it's for hunting, against hunting, you can take it with a pinch of salt. And for anyone that doesn't know what the Hunt Sabs are, it's the Hunt Saboteurs Association. I'm on their website right now. They're the only organization that works directly in the field to protect wildlife from the hunter. That's what they do. I know in recent times, predominantly they disrupt fox hunts. Am I correct? I'm pretty sure I am correct on that.
I think it mainly
that's what they started with. I know on their website that they are now targeting pheasant shoots, which seems to be a big one. And it doesn't, just go on the website. You've got guidelines.
Huntsabs.org, is it?
.org.uk. You can go on the website. You can see how to just disrupt pheasant shoots, how to disrupt fox hunts. Nothing that they say is illegal on there at all on the website. And also a very interesting one that I saw, which actually took me by surprise, is they advertise on how to sabotage anglers.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, honestly, there is full guidelines on their website on how to sab an angler.
Okay, I'm gonna have to read up on that because it's a new one.
Yeah, see, I've been doing more research than you have.
But one thing that I've noticed is that every so often you will get a celebrity backing an organization like the Hunt Sabs.
Ricky Gervais being one of them.
He backs Hunt Sabs, does he?
I don't know if it's Hunt Sabs. I know he backs LAX, which is League Against Cool Sports.
What about Lush? Is it Hunt Sabs that they support?
Lush.
What do you make of that, Davey? I mean, a big organization like. I take it you don't shop at Lush.
Yeah, I think Lush have been hit pretty hard because of it. There's loads of groups have put Lush on their Facebook pages.
I have seen it flying around.
Very strong now.
I have seen it flying around, the picture of Lush, and then they've got the Hunt Sabs
the logo
or banner in their window, which is quite.
It's like the laddie that was on earlier, your last call. Some of these, see the bigger Hunt Sabs groups, like the kind of national ones, they're very, very careful. They've obviously had media training. They know what they're doing. But it's the local ones with the guys with the hoodies that go out with spray paint and all sorts of stuff. It's these ones that are taking all the money from everyone. They probably never got anything from Lush in their lives anyway, so I don't think that would make any difference.
One thing I did want to bring up, because we were going to talk about Hunt Sabs anyway, and you've actually brought it in very well, is the balaclava thing. I don't get it. Why would you, if you are going to disrupt what is a legal activity, predominantly fox hunting, which they don't actually do where we live. It's trail hunting now, isn't it? Where they lay a trail, and the hounds go off, and then
it's to dogs. To guns.
To guns, yeah, and they all wear balaclavas as if they're hiding something. Well, the thing I don't understand is if you've got nothing to hide and you're doing something technically legally, you're kind of walking in people's way and stuff like that. Why are you hiding your face? I don't understand this.
And if you really believe in what you're doing, which they seem to, with all their might on social media, why would you hide your face?
Why would you hide your face? Why?
Yeah, if you've got strong enough feelings about something like that, whether it's right or wrong, I'm quite sure they believe it's right. Loads of them have got good points to be on it as well. I think we need to be fair about it.
Yeah. No, we do.
You should be proud to support it. You shouldn't be. I think they do it for security purposes, to be honest with you, and most of it's social security purposes, all driving about in their posh cars. A lot of these people prey on people that are kind of weak. There's loads of people out there that want to belong to something. They want to belong to a group, and the Hunt Sabs just fit them in. These people would be football casuals. The guys and girls that all dress up in the hoodies. The only problem with that is that they're part of a huge big crowd. They're a small fish in a big pond. When they're doing Hunt Sabs and taking videos and getting themselves onto Facebook, they feel they're a big fish in a small pond. And that's what people like. But you see quite a lot of the videos where people don't have the hoodies on. These people wouldn't call them zealots. I think they're following something that they truly believe in. But the guys that go around with the hoodies and stuff like that, it's just absolute madness, and they actually don't make themselves look very good.
So do you think that there's a good proportion of them who are literally jumping on the bandwagon to feel part of something?
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. When I had a look through the Facebook groups a couple of nights ago, I spent about half an hour on it, and I clicked on a few people's Facebook profiles, and it was generally all people that don't have anything else in their lives. They don't have a lot of hobbies. They're genuine animal lovers, most of them. I wouldn't say anything about that. There's nothing wrong with being like that. But they go into these groups and then they start to chat, and people chat back, and then they get involved in it, and then they hear about people needing a new Land Rover. Then they send a $5 in, and then they get personal messages, and then they send another 20 quid in. And they actually work, the people that run these things, I wouldn't say they're evil, but they turn it into a cult. It's like an absolute cult status. And the people that moaned about the cost of the walkie-talkies, these are people that have constantly given them $5s and $10s. One guy gave them 50 quid. They got booted off straight away. Without the minute they mentioned where did the money go, they got booted off. These people are booting off their own supporters. They are trying to turn it into a cult.
No, well, I'm sure we're going to come back to this, but I know that you're a big air rifle man, so I wanted to just change the subject. Is that right, Dom?
Yeah, we can change the subject. I just want to quickly say we are aware that there's some more people trying to call. We are aware of this, and we will be with you shortly. If you want to call 0131 618 8885, send us a message on Podcast Into the Wilderness page and saying we're trying to call, and then we'll try and get to you. But Barn, air rifles.
Air rifles, David. I don't quite know what your involvement is, but I know that you're involved a lot in the air rifle world, are you? Or you're big into air rifles?
Yep. I'm a member of 2 air rifle clubs. I'm an NSRE air rifle instructor, and I do help SACs out a lot with their air gun ranges. I teach juniors to shoot as well. I do that for free. I don't charge for anything. I'm into hunter field target shooting. There's a very big hunter field target looking league in Scotland. Generally 60 or 70 shooters go every week. And Scottish teams were second in the world last year. So yeah, that's me. I'm heavily involved in it. I'm out on the range a couple of times a week, probably more than a couple of times a week, and I do a lot of pest control as well. I firmly believe that air rifle shooting is the thing that gets a lot of people into the sport.
We will agree with you on that. Well, me and my brother were both given air rifles at a very young age, and that's kind of how we got into.
It's a great way to teach young people gun safety.
Gun safety.
It functions exactly the same as a big full bore rifle, and I think it's a great way to introduce people to the sport of shooting, and by that I mean target shooting, but also shooting full stop. I mean, what can if anybody is interested in it, what's the easiest way to get involved in air rifle shooting?
Easiest way to do it is just to go onto Facebook or anybody and have a wee search for air rifle groups and trying to find a local club. I have a website that's got a club finder on it. It's got every club. It's got
Which website's that? And we'll put it up on our page.
It's on airgungurus.com.
Yes, we know we know
that
one. It's got a club finder on the main website. Just click on it. There's a map and it will tell you the club that's closest to you. You don't need to have a gun. You can go. The people at the clubs have usually got club guns, and they'll make you very welcome. If you're thinking of joining the club, they'll give you all the details, and they'll let you shoot their guns till you get one that you like as well.
We're sharing this on our page now, so if anyone is interested in how they get involved in air rifles, just click the link of the website here. We're sharing it on a page.
A lot of air rifle shooters go on to do long range stuff and move on to plays and bits and pieces like that as an entry level into Commonwealth sports and Olympic sports as well.
Yeah, of course. That's a really good point. It is a way for you to maybe test your ability to be the next Commonwealth or Olympic champion. I mean, that is a possibility. You just never know.
Yeah, the clubs are getting bigger because, especially up in Scotland, they are getting bigger everywhere in general across the UK. But with air gun licensing come in, of people that are wanting to keep their guns away, then if you have
that was my next question.
Or join a club.
Now, as advice from you with the air gun licensing that's coming in, there must be quite a few people who are a little bit concerned about the air rifles that they have. I mean, what's your take on it, and what would you say to them?
Well, the problem being is that if you've got an air rifle up your loft, it's going to be an immediate offence once the licensing comes in. It's estimated that there's 500,000 air guns in Scotland. Most of them will be in lofts. The cost of the licensing is going to mean that a lot of people are just not going to bother with them. So you're either going to get rid of them. They will have an amnesty where you can hand them in. The air rifle clubs are starting to drop their prices a bit. They're very, very cheap anyway. Most of them are something like a £5 or a £10 or a month. But you are going to have to join a club or have a shooting permission.
So have a reason.
Have a good reason to do it. So the amount of air rifles is going to drop like a stone. And it's a shame for people that maybe even can't afford a £5 or £10 a month. But if you keep that gun up in your loft, you're committing an offence once the licensing.
So people who have air rifles really do need to make sure that they're aware of the laws that are coming in. What's the best place to find those laws? Do you have them on your website? The new laws.
There's bits and pieces on the website, but if you go on to the SACs page,
yes, we might be having Alex on later, possibly, so he might be able to shed a bit of light on.
All right, he'll be sitting with his Ricky Gervais t-shirt on.
He's a big fan. So wait, and the really annoying thing.
Air rifles, he's got one of mine. He shoots it up his law.
The really annoying thing, and Ricky keeps coming back, is I used to like him.
Yeah, me too.
I really did. I used to listen to his podcast. Admittedly, I only used to listen because Carl Pilkington was on there. But that was the only reason.
I've never liked him. I used to quite like The Office, but I always got too embarrassed and I had to walk away.
Is that because it reminded you of yourself?
Okay, boys, thanks for having me on.
No, thanks so much for calling, David. Really appreciate it.
The rest of your podcast. The Kai guy was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, well, you check him out. Check him out on YouTube.
Please share us. I know that you guys have. Actually,
yeah, no, appreciate what you've done already.
We know you guys have shared it. Thank you very much for calling.
Drinking your Iron Brew.
Oh yes, of course.
I'm actually out of Iron Brew now.
Yeah, we need a top up. Okay,
what
a great call again.
That was a great call. Thank you, everyone that's called so far. Remember, the number is 0131 618 8885. And if you can't get through, then try and call again. Or if not, send us a message. The best thing to do is send us a message, and we will get it, and then we're aware that you're waiting to call.
Yeah, that's definitely the best thing.
We've now got seven missed calls during the last few conversations. So please call back. If you've not heard, if you've not got through to us. Now, we do have a huge range of topics that we're covering slowly. We've still got more we want to talk about, don't we, Byron?
Well, yeah. Well, just as we were about to decide for you, here's another call.
Hello, welcome to the Into Wilderness podcast.
Who are we speaking to?
Hi, this is Colin from New York.
Colin, you're back on. It's a clear line.
Yes. Yeah, that's a bit better.
Thanks for taking the time to call back.
No, it's been a very good, enjoyable show to listen to, and and I must say your pilot episode that I found on YouTube, either via a suggestion or maybe from Facebook, is absolutely stunning. The cinematography and the whole feel and the sort of, I guess, the emotion that goes into.
Oh, we really appreciate
the whole reason.
We've been hard at work filming our first series, over the last few months now, and I like to think we've upped our game a bit.
Yeah, I hope so.
From the pilot episode. And we've had great support from our various sponsors as well.
Well, we might as well give them a mention now, actually, because we wouldn't be able to do... When we made, just for people who are listening and for yourself, when we made that pilot episode, we basically had an idea. We had an idea of what we wanted to do and what we wanted to show people. And then but we obviously needed to be able to afford to do that. So we went out to the industry and we approached some people that and companies that we wanted to work with. And we were really lucky that the first 4 companies we approached said, yeah, we like what you have to show us with what you've explained. And I think my brother will stick up the pilot episode just in case no one knows what we're talking about. So Fortis Clothing are our clothing sponsor. Vortex Optics provide all of our optics. Scottish Association for Country Sports, who also bring you this podcast, they're supporting everything we do, which is such a massive help. And Castrum as well. They provide us with, it's hard to say what they provide us with because it's so many different things. Knives,
everything,
reindeer skins.
Every time we get something through the post from Castrum, it's actually a surprise what we get.
Yeah, because it's so varied. But no, thank you so much for your comments on that. And keep your eye out, probably middle of January, end of January, because there's a whole brand new trailer coming out, about 3 minutes of the stuff we've been doing the last couple of months. And the new series launches sometime at the start of February. It's going to be launched at the British Shooting Show.
Yes,
but
it'll be online as well.
Great to hear, because I can appreciate the level of work that must go into producing a video of that quality as well.
The one thing I would add is it's filmed by me and Byron. It's edited by me and Byron, and one of the hardest things is lumping your kit up the hills. And trying to use it. And the biggest problem we've had, I don't know if anyone's noticed, and I bet you have, in the UK, it's been raining for like
2 months.
For 2 months now. Which causes problems.
Yeah. But I mean, that aside, was there anything else that was on your mind particularly? What is your background? Do you do hunting? I don't imagine you're doing much hunting in New York.
No, so my background is English, and my background actually started with a simple air rifle, as you were, mentioning. It's a great way with your previous call about how to get into, shooting sports. Back in 1987, I asked my father, "Can I get an air rifle?" And he said, "No, but if you join a club, I'll buy you an air rifle." So I found a local target shooting club in the south of London and got an air rifle after a few months, and I shot a Bisley for many years, and now I've moved to the US. I'm shooting competitions here, US PSA M3 gun. But the whole reason I wanted to sort of call was, going on, I guess, mentioning Ricky Gervais's name and all of the negative social comments that people make about hunting. I think nowadays there is a complete disconnect from people that eat meat and get meat from the supermarket or buy a burger. They have no emotional attachment or no understanding of where that meat has actually come from. And I'm wanting to get into hunting here in the US. So it's hard, close to New York. I've got to move to go out to Pennsylvania, down to Virginia to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been watching a lot of sort of how-to videos on how to quarter an elk, how to skin a deer, how to cut out the back straps. And even just watching the YouTube videos, I haven't got my hands dirty, I haven't got them bloody yet. I have a lot more of an appreciation of where my, chicken that I pick up at the local supermarket comes from.
Mm.
For our Thanksgiving turkey, I had to clean it out and wash it, and I was very, I guess, more mentally aware that that this was a live animal that had been killed, and now I was going to be eating it. And I want to get into hunting, and a lot of people I work with a bunch of Brooklyn hipsters. A lot of people here there is sort of a movement of people who want to get back into those skills that we once had. Talking to grandfathers and older people, they used to go out and shoot rabbits or shoot pigeons and pheasants. It was something that people used to randomly do in any old bit of woods, even in the south of London. But the fact that you can get anything in Tesco's now, even ostrich meat, people aren't going to be excited about, if emu, on the children's TV show got killed, but, no, they're happy to buy an ostrich steak in, Sainsbury's.
Yeah, just listening to what you were saying there, I do wonder if sometimes, as hunters, we know why we do what we do as real hunters. And we are obviously quite hard on people who are quick to throw it in our faces and say, why don't you go and shop at Tesco? But I suppose we should, if we were to stand back a little bit and think about how detached the modern world is or has become compared to just exactly what you were describing, as things used to be, where you would go out the back garden with your granddad and you'd go and shoot a few pigeons roosting in the tree, and you'd probably cook them and eat them the following day or that night. That doesn't really happen that often anymore. And if you lose that detachment, even just by one generation, it becomes quite difficult to get back in that and actually have that direct correlation between dead animal and food on my plate. And I think I would definitely encourage anybody, the next time you sit down for dinner, tomorrow night, you sit down for dinner, look at what's on your plate. If there's a type of meat on your plate, what is it? And then go and Google how that's killed in an abattoir, because that's the raw reality.
Yeah, there's a brilliant video on YouTube, not YouTube, on Netflix. It's called Food Inc., which goes through, explains all about the sort of the food abattoir processing industry, and there are some horrific videos about how those animals are treated. But you guys going out and shooting a deer, or when I get out to go and shoot them, that's going to be a lot more humane, and the animal will be treated with a lot more respect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, it's to know that when you're eating chicken or venison, you're actually eating chicken or venison. You're not eating horse, which, of course, we've talked about this on a previous podcast, goes back to 2-3 years ago, where to everyone's shock and horror, their 1 pound pack of mince, where they got 5 kgs of it, was horse. And they were surprised by it. I mean, personally, I'm slightly annoyed. If I am eating beef, I want to be eating beef. If I'm eating horse, I want to be eating horse. I want to know what it is. I guess we're going to go into this later on, buying local and supporting local farmers and so on. I guess that moves along the lines of traceability of your meat. When you go out and hunt, you're fully in control of where your food comes from.
Yeah. And I think in this day and age, every red-blooded man should be learning these skills. And I think we do need to go back to knowing what our grandfathers knew how to do, growing our own vegetables. We started to grow vegetables in our garden, and the tomatoes, but they taste better than we buy in the store.
Yeah, no, that is, we probably don't touch on that enough as hunters, but what you've just said there about vegetables is also another key point, because it basically covers the same topics. Whereas we're talking about meat and, wild meat versus farmed meat, and the ethical basis of that. There was a program that was run quite recently by, I think it was Hugh Fernley, and he was looking at the vast amount of vegetables that are thrown away every year in this country and around Europe because they don't conform to the regulations.
Wrong shapes.
They're the wrong shapes.
Nothing wrong with them at all, but they get dumped. There's tons and tons of it.
When he did the survey with the people outside the supermarkets, most of them couldn't care less. And yet the supermarkets are insistent on having this particular size, shape, and weight of your turnips and your carrots. And that is as big an issue as the meat issue, but doesn't get brought up that often, although it was really great. I mean, I have a huge amount of time for Hugh Fernley. I think he's done a lot of great for exactly what we're trying to do. He's a man in the public eye. He's a chef, and he has, he captures audiences, and he is trying to bring that to the forefront, but in a way that doesn't get him, kicked off television totally, which has happened to, some people have tried to push it too far, too fast.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the sort of trend in the UK that we have here in the US now. Is a lot of restaurants are advertising the thing farm to table, where they won't source any products or produce meat from sort of further than 50 miles. So often on the menu is a list where all of the ingredients and where the animal has come from. So there is, thankfully, it tends to be more high-end food based for the costs of things. But there's this, you can adopt a farm to table or a true organic lifestyle if you are growing and also then sourcing. I think the problem is hunting. Hunting has such a negative term. Maybe it should just be rebranded to food gathering.
Food gathering, yeah. I think we do have a little bit of that here. The one place I've eaten personally, and it was a gift from my girlfriend's parents actually last year or the year before, was Tom Kitchen, who's a chef here, and he has at least 2 restaurants in Edinburgh. And when you sit down at his table in his restaurant, he actually gives you a map, and it shows you where all the produce, and it's not 50 miles, but he likes to source from Scotland. And it shows you on a map where all of the produce on his menu comes from. And I really like that touch. So I knew if I was eating the venison, it came from this particular estate in this area. And I that connection as a hunter, I really appreciated.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, well, I'm gonna get back to
yes,
work.
Get back to work. Thank you so much for calling
all the way from New York. Thank you very much.
Stay well.
Thank you. Have a great day. I'm looking forward to the new shows coming out.
Brilliant. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, I am aware that people have been trying to get hold of us. We've got more missed calls. We now are up to 14 missed calls. Please call in. It doesn't actually take very long. It's not been taking very long. We were terrified. Okay, here we go. Hello, welcome to the Into the Wilderness podcast.
Hello, good afternoon or good evening.
Yeah,
who are we speaking to?
Who's speaking to?
I'm speaking to Sergio Couto. I'm calling from Scotland.
Hi, Sergio. No, I don't know you, but I know you kind of from Facebook. So, yes, thank you very much for taking the time to phone in. I know you were trying to get hold of us earlier, and thanks for persevering.
So it does work. Sorry, I'll just button there. If you are trying to call, just persevere, and we will get round to you. We're having a lot of people calling, so thank you so much, and thank you to everybody watching. Send us a message on our Facebook page, Podcast Into the Wilderness.
What is on your mind tonight? You are up in Aberdeen, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yes, Aberdeenshire. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what do you do up there?
I always. Basically, a long short story. I came over from Portugal for a holiday, and that's 12 years ago. So I ended up staying. Love the place. Love the weather.
You love the weather. You mean this weather we're having right now?
Well, it's not boring. In Scotland, if you don't like the weather, like 5 minutes. Lately, been a little bit more than 5 minutes, but it's not boring at least,
Yeah, sure.
Portugal can be pretty good from 40 degrees and then freezing cold in the winter. So it's just different. So I love it. Yes, and the main thing is hunting. Of course, I love hunting.
And what hunting did you do in Portugal before you came here? I'm intrigued.
Well, that is the thing. There's one thing that Portugal, you have to apply for a license. You have to apply for a hunting license, and then you specify what you want to hunt. For example, I was just small game with a shotgun, so you apply for that license. You have an exam. You have to pass that exam, which you have one chance in a year. And if you pass, you have to pass the exam of handling a gun. They have to show you that you are safe. If you pass that, you have an hunting license. Then you apply for your firearm license. And then they get that, and then you buy a hunting license permit, and you are allowed to hunt for just specific times of the year. So it's a lot more restricted than it's here.
So before you can actually apply and own your firearm, you have to pass a lot of hunting tests. Is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Okay.
And a lot of people may not like it, but I think we are lack of that in here. And it's one of the reasons that we see sort of expression a little bit of jackasses around with guns. In my personal opinion, you shouldn't be allowed to have a gun without understanding a little bit of the nature itself. So it's not a good idea of buying a gun and then go learn as you go. Other things, that's my personal opinion.
So having come from Portugal, where that is the requirement to own and hunt, what do you make of the laws that we have here? Do you think? I mean, we have very restrictive gun laws in terms of gun ownership, but it is once you own a gun, it's not that difficult to go out hunting. You need to have permission, but you don't need to necessarily know a lot. I mean, do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree. I think it's fantastic the way we do it here. If I could, I would join both, if you know what I mean. So I don't think, knowledge never be bad to anyone. So if we learn the way migration of the birds do and how much flights of eggs they put, and if we understand wildlife, we need to be the hunters. So I think everybody should go through exam, at least to learn. So to learn what we are hunting, I love all sorts of hunting, but specific deer stalking. So I take the time to learn the behavior of the animal that I'm hunting. That's what makes me successful. So if I buy a gun, I apply for a license like I do here. And by the way, I don't think that's that difficult. And people think then the laws are restricted in the UK. Yes, they are, but if you have a reason, they are easy. So you just apply and you get it, as long as you are not, a nutshell. But if you understand what you go after, the animal that you want to hunt or pursue, and why you want to do it, you become more successful. And knowledge, it's far better than just buying a gun and then go and find out what you can shoot, what you cannot shoot. I don't agree with that.
So, I mean, you're aware of our deer management qualifications that you have, your level 1, level 2 that you do in the UK?
I do have my level 1, yes, and I'm prefer to get the level 2. Yes.
So forgive me if I'm wrong, but are you suggesting that maybe what should be the case is that in order to hunt, you should actually have your level 1 and level 2 before you're allowed to go and kill something?
Not necessarily.
No.
The idea behind the level 1, level 2 is specific for deer. What we have, the way a lot of European countries have, is exam on all of it, not just specific for deer. You have exam that you have to, for example, the exam that I passed in Portugal, I have to know the difference between a diving duck and a surface duck, I thought I was never going to hunt ducks anyway, but I need to know what the difference between a diving duck and a surface duck. So, for example, a diving duck has to flap the water, run before it takes off.
The guy, surface duck, just takes off. So I know that because they forced me to, not force me. If I want the exam, I need to know it because there's 30 questions and I only were allowed to miss 3 or 5. So I have to learn the book. And I think that is good. I think that is brilliant because that way you understand wildlife better.
So do you think we should have something similar here in this country then? Like a DMQ, but for everything else that we hunt?
I think you should, you should at least know the basis of the natural world itself, with the animals that we have in the country and the time of the year they breed, the time of the year they have young, why we shoot it. We don't, for all the species, we don't have seasons, okay? But it's moral for yourself to go out and decide if you want to shoot it or not, So, for example, like the rabbits, pigeons, foxes, there is no seasons. But it's up to yourself. I specific myself, I don't go out and hunt for foxes unless I'm asked to, Not because I love foxes, I do respect them because to me they are fantastic animals. But I don't go out day in, day out to lump foxes. Could be another debate on that, but it's my way of thinking, I suppose, If I'm out stalking, doesn't matter if it's the biggest roe deer in the world. If I see a fox, I'll shoot it first. But that's the way I do my fox control, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point. I think that I think I partly agree with what you're saying. I think everybody, they should, if you're going to go and hunt something, I think you should learn about it. Absolutely. I think you should know everything that you could possibly know about the quarry that you want to hunt. I think that shows respect for the quarry. And it also is your own responsibility, obviously, to know if there are seasons required for the animal. I don't know, however, whether we should be enforcing regulation in terms of certificates that you have to pass. All is different for yourself because you were born here. Yeah.
Okay. It's difficult for the people from here because they don't know any other way. Mm-hmm. For example, Switzerland, Austria, you've been there. You have to pass a competitive test or do some shooting every year to get granted the license, to see if you are, if your shot or your shooting is good enough for that specific time that you are hunting. And there's some countries that they do that, or a year or 5 years or whatever it is. So there is things, here we have that excuse that, the main focus in the UK is to be able to grant a rifle, and as long as you have a reason to have a rifle, you have a rifle. Then you learn as you go. And sometimes that can be a bit of, can backlash to our own perspective because people post, as you was mentioned earlier, pictures on Facebook, and I do it myself. I post a lot of pictures on Facebook. I post pictures with foxes. I post pictures with many things, but I don't respect. And I smile when I post a picture of what I kill. And if I smile or when I smile, it's because I'm proud of the good job that I just done.
Okay. Yeah.
Not because I blow the head of a fox or you don't care less. The animal is dead. And
that is your respect. You're not gloating over the death. It's a respect of doing the good job. I understand that, and I think that I'm not a big fan of the classic trophy, in inverted commas, trophy shot. But there's a lot of anti-hunters take exception to people smiling in photographs with
no smiling.
Yeah, well, that would be what they want. Yeah. But I think it definitely is misunderstood because it's not pleasure in the death; it's pleasure in the process that it's taken to get to that point.
For example, I took 2 years ago. My wife shot her first buck, her first doe. I was proud of myself because when I started hunting, and my wife didn't have any background of hunting. And now she owns a substitute, she owns she has a rifle, she has a shotgun. And when she got the first air gun, she said she didn't kill a rabbit. I thought, one way or another.
I lost him.
Are you still there, Sergio?
I'm here.
Oh, you are still there. Good.
Sorry, we lost you.
We lost you just for a second. Yeah. But you were saying that about your wife wanting to when she shot her first robot.
So she from no background whatsoever, and she didn't want to kill nothing. With understanding, she
she shot a first roe deer 2 years ago. We were waiting. My parents were from Portugal. They look after the wee one, and we went out stalking. She shot it, and the first concern when we got close to the animal is where the shot was. She really put the bullet through the heart, and she smiled, and she kind of get an adrenaline shock, and she was smiling because she was worried the shot not be perfect. When I clean the deer and I take her to take a picture, I blur her face, and she smiled to the camera. There is no way that she was smiling because she was happy to kill that animal. No, she was smiling because she did a good job.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Through the heart of the animal.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to pictures and trophy pictures, anything can be a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a trophy to me is the way we stalk an animal down. To some people, maybe the size of the head. But a photo is just a further moment, and the interpretation after that many people have is totally different thing. You know, so we're never going to beat that. You know. That's my opinion again.
I want to ask you about a project which I know you're working on from my conversation with you on Facebook. But before I do that, Daryl, do you want to give everybody the number one more time? And also, in terms of topics coming up for people who are listening, maybe someone else can pick up on what Sergio is talking about excuse me, and choking on myself there, about people, the requirement to learn more about the quarries. But also, we also want to touch on driven grouse. John Muir Trust, very topical right now.
We're going to be bringing that up very shortly.
Yeah, John Muir Trust. Tail docking, that's another great one. And lead ammunition. So there's a couple of things to think about. If anyone wants to talk about those, maybe you can phone in next. But so
the number is 0131 618 8885. Thank you very much for everyone that is watching right now. And we are aware there is still people trying to call us, and they can't get through right now. We will get to you eventually, but Byron's just giving you a few things that we are going to bring up in the
very near future
in this podcast.
But Sergio, just maybe just to finish up, can you tell us about this project that you're working on? It's a really interesting one with regard to getting people into hunting.
Right. I always introduce a lot of young people to hunting. I believe in sharing, and the difference between us and the anti-hunting community, I kind of compare ourselves to a pride of lion and a herd of buffalo. We are predators, so we kind of are solitary predators, right? We don't like when other predators come into our patch. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when we have that novice and other birds like the hunting community, they just like the corners to one corner and novice. The way I see it, the same way the buffalo do to a private lions. So we need, to my understanding, we need to introduce a lot more people, not people that actually want to do it, but people probably not even is born yet. And my understanding of that is we have to introduce ladies. I really believe that ladies are the future of shooting. And before we introduce kids, we have to introduce their mom before they even are born. So in conversation with a friend of mine that, I speak about hunting a lot. I work in a hunting shop, and I take a lot of photos for people for passports because we do the photos for firearm certificate. That kind of took off, and a lot of men come through for photos. And because it's a big hunting shop and we have stuffed animals everywhere, a lot of moms get curious. And I spend my day a lot sometimes trying to educate people. And they come in with one idea and go home with a different idea. So basically, we came from a friend of mine that she was a vegetarian for 27 years. And I've been speaking to her for some time. And I was so passionate about what I'm saying about hunting. She got curious and she wanted to find out. So I asked her, if I would take you out, would you shoot a deer? Or would you stalk with me? And she said, yes, but she'd like to try to eat it as well.
Brilliant.
So now we are born there. So I come up with an idea. I spoke to my boss, and I said, right, I'm going to take a post. I'm going to give a challenge to myself. I'm going to take 12 ladies hunting.
12 ladies hunting. I think there might be, if you weren't a married man, I would say there were other benefits there. But no, I mean, on a serious note, I think it's a marvelous idea.
I just want to cut in quickly and say if there is any female hunters out there listening, please get in touch because we want to delve a bit further into female hunting and public profile and so on.
But so you want to take 12 females hunting and introduce them for the first time. How can you, if you're a female hunter out there, how can you be involved in what you're doing?
Again, I can catch that. Hello?
Sorry, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, say again. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sorry, I was just saying, you want to take 12 ladies, introduce 12 female hunters to stalking, I assume, here in Scotland. If there's ladies listening or somebody knows a lady who would like to be involved, how can they be involved in this project?
Right. I run a page called Circuit Wild Harvest. It's a page that I run that is just, a lot of people don't like to call it harvest, but to me, when I go out stalking or hunting is what I'm doing.
We'll put your page up on our page.
We'll put our page up for people to see shortly.
So, and I put a note and I shared it to some Facebook pages, and I was overwhelmed with the response. So, have people contact me from Finland, from America, and I was gobsmacked how people was willing to travel that far for a free stalking, because everything will be free. Okay, So I got overwhelmed kind of overnight, and I have a lot of ladies to. So I went with the project, with the selection and speaking to the ladies. So I came down to a fair few. So I already chosen the ladies. So there is no availability. I could actually take 24, but I just can't. I don't have the manpower or the time to do it. So I will do it over the winter. This winter will start from the first year, and the next year, let's say. And now we'll film every single hunt separate. So to begin with, I was going to offer one outing to each lady, but I found it be unfair. So I'm going to offer a full day to each lady.
A full day stalking. That's incredible.
I mean, really, absolutely hat off to you for that. I think that's such a marvelous thing to do. And I think you've really tackled an area which is really important, and that's female hunters get a lot of hard time, those who are already involved, and it's great to support them, those who are doing it correctly, and also encourage more in. And we've just found your link. We're going to go and stick it up on our page now, and anybody else can check it out and see what you're all about. But I think that's such a great project, and I really wish you the best of success with it. And thank you very much for phoning in as well.
Thank you for calling.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye for now. Stay well.
Okay, bye now.
Thank you for everyone listening so far. There's quite a few of you listening, and we are aware that the phones, we're still getting missed calls. Please call in again, and it's never too long before someone calls in.
I need a break so I can go get a drink.
I know, I need a drink too.
Of water.
Oh yeah, of water. Yeah. So find our podcast Into the Wilderness on Facebook. Now, we have quite a few shows out already. This is our first live show for people that have just tuned in. They're all on iTunes. That is the easiest way. But if you don't have an Apple phone, you can download Stitcher, and they're all on there on the Stitcher store, and you can download them on demand. Now, thank you very much to Nod1980, who's listening to us between deliveries. I'm assuming in a van or a car. Thank you very much for listening.
Well, I just, Gary Latcham, he actually just messaged a minute ago, said that there's nothing better than listening to a podcast about fox shooting and hunting, which we have been talking about, while out foxing. So, great. I think he should be concentrating on the job at hand. But
he must have good internet. Wherever we go, there's nothing. There's no way to listen to anything. But we have some very interesting topics coming up. And we do want to hear from some female hunters.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We'd love to have someone involved in hunting, against or for.
We would really like to have somebody against on, but I think trying to get them to tune in is the hard part.
Well, I mean, we
did put it on those pages.
We did put it on. We extended the hand, and it was slapped down hard. Yeah. The simple matter of the fact is that we want everyone involved. This podcast, it's supported by SACS, but they have no say in what we are talking about. There's, they're not got a gun to our head or anything, to say it that way. And we do want everyone involved, and we want people to learn about this. This is why we're doing this, and this is the first live event that we're having, and hopefully we'll do a few more.
But I'll tell you what we're going to do right now, because the phone hasn't rung for the first time since we're doing this, is we need a bit of refreshment. So we're going to actually play you a tune, which is also a first for our podcast. by one of our. Who are we going to play first, Alex or Davey?
We're going to play Alex, and just in case anyone is thinking that we are being Barn, sorry, premature there. Just in case anyone's thinking we're rude, being on our phones and stuff like that, we are interacting with people on social media while we're doing this podcast. So that's why we're on our phones. We're not like playing Candy Crush or anything or Farmville on our phones. And I've got my laptop in front of me, so we are doing a few things at once. So just bear with us when we're trying to respond to people and so on. But we are going to just play you a track. We've got 2 minutes 45 to get a drink, Barn.
Okay, I'm sure we'll manage.
This is by Alex Hume, and he has done some music for us in the past. He's a great guy. We'll put up his link.
He's got some really good,
really good music, really good stuff coming out soon. So he's. We're going to put this on. We're just going to have a 2-minute break so we can get a drink and a refresher, and then hopefully someone will call in. So
right, 2 minutes 30 of music. 2 minutes 45.
Byron's broken it. Why? What have you done, Byron? So we were going to have a break, and Byron has broken the machine that lets us play the music. So let's. I don't actually know what he's doing. Let me do this. You can talk to the good people, because now people are probably leaving the show because you're doing some ridiculous stuff. I do all the tech here. He's just clicking the screen.
You click the screen and make it work. We mentioned it earlier. Topics that we would really like to cover. John Muir Trust, that was in the news just this week. 81, 87, I can't remember how many deer exactly.
I think you're wrong. I think it was 86.
It was 86. Okay, I was close. It was in the 80s. Were found dead up in a fairly small area and hadn't been taken off the hill and consumed. They had just been shot and left and were found rotting. And for good reason, a lot of people have taken exception to that, and a lot of hunting organizations have taken exception to that. So we would really like to hear your view on it, and if there are actually any John Muir Trust members out there, it would be brilliant to hear from your point of view. And a little bit later on, when we do talk about that, we'll bring up what they have on their website and what they stand for, and discuss it a little bit more. But I think, have you sorted the technical?
I think I've sorted it. So please bear with us. We're just having a very, very short break, and we're gonna play you one of Alex's tracks right now. We'll put up a link to his music if you like it. If you don't like it, I apologize. I really like it. But bear with us, please. We're gonna get a drink, and we've got so many more things to discuss. This is the moment of truth, whether it works or not.
I'm out of the dark and into the night. Skies above me, there's no end in sight. And I'm tired of the pressure, and the weight from above. Always in darkness with no light to but. I'm out of the dark, won't play your part. Out of the dark, make my own sparks. You see, my heart is golden, painted in black, and I won't hold the ropes that take up the slack. And I am tired of running the back of the pack. No. And I'm feeling free, oh, with every breath that I take. Oh, I'm so sick of the shadow that your height creates. And I'm out of your reach, I feel like skipping my heart. I feel the rise of beginnings, I can see the stars. I'm out of the dark, won't play your part. Out of the dark, make my own sparks. You see, my heart is golden, painted in black, and I won't hold the ropes that take up the slack. And I am tired of running back up the back. No. When the world is on my back, I fight with my teeth bared, fight till my fists turn to lead, and when I can go no further, I look into myself and find what I need to decide. You see, my heart is golden, painted and black. You see, my heart is golden, painted and black. And I won't hold the ropes that take out the slack. And I am tired of running the back of the pack. So down the river, bitch, and I'm not coming back. The water's running fast and it's strength that I still lack. The water rain, it covers my tracks, and I don't think I'll come
We've
back.
actually let the music carry on for a little bit. We're just having a little bit of a chin wag ourselves. We will be with you very shortly.
A few minutes.
I'm glad this is carried on playing, but you're still listening to Alex, so.
Come easy like they used to when I was young. My tears are told, my songs they are sung, but I don't think I'll come back. But I don't think I'll come back. Come back.
And welcome back. We've got a drink now, so we're good to go. And we've got a few topics to go. Thank you to everyone that has called so far and everyone that is listening. We obviously just had to have a short break there. So if you've just joined us, or you just joined us and we're just listening to music, we are discussing everything: hunting, countryside, bushcraft, everything. We've discussed a huge array of topics. And if you want more information, head to Podcast Into the Wilderness Facebook page. So what are we going to talk about next, Byron?
Well, I do believe that we are about to get a call in, but in the meantime, we will talk about grouse shooting.
Driven grouse shooting. Now, this is something that me and Byron have actually been heavily involved in the last few months.
Well, since basically the start of the grouse season this
start
year.
Of the grouse season, not in terms of shooting ourselves at all, but in terms of everything to do with it. I mean, we made a film, The Untold Story, Driven Grouse Shooting, for the Angus Glenn's Merlin Group. It's been seen by almost 30,000 people now.
It won't be far off.
Well, actually, it will be over 30,000 between Facebook, Vimeo, and YouTube.
If you want to know about exactly the title, The Untold Story Behind Driven Grouse Shooting, all the stuff that doesn't get talked about, all the behind-the-scenes aspects, the social interaction, the economic benefits, the people it supports, check that video out. We will put that link, like everything else, on our Facebook page and Twitter.
Yeah, it will be. And we continue to make films as well. We made The Untold Story, Modern Gamekeeper.
If you're a young keeper at college, or you want to be a keeper, that's definitely a film to check out.
It
you
is.
Hear from the very
16-year-olds.
16-year-olds who are doing it right now.
Which is good, and I hope anyone that's watched it has enjoyed it so far. A lot of hard work, a lot of credit needs to be given to the young gamekeepers and the older gamekeepers who've all up on film. I mean, these people they went to college, they became gamekeepers. They never expected to be put behind cameras, and they've done such an amazing job. But we are going to talk about Driven Grouse Shooting, Byron.
Yeah, I think that the first port of call for anybody wanting to look into that is definitely the new Merlin groups that have been set up. The Angus Glenn's Merlin group, which is where we live, was the first. It's probably the biggest still, I think.
I think so. It was, yeah, I think it must still be the biggest. We've got a phone call coming in, so... No, they've decided not to call us anymore.
But they really are a great hub of information because they are set up by the local communities, and they're really very much for the local communities and making sure that people can understand exactly what they're all about. It's not some big organization. It's very much about the families, and it is very much about locally what's going on. Angus Glen's Merlin Group have a Facebook page. There's a new one just been set up, Grampian.
Grampian, yeah, they've just been set up, which is on our doorstep as well.
But they're on your doorstep because you live over the water.
Actually, I live over the water, so I live in Grampian, and like Byron said, it's a hub of information to see what's going on in the area to do with gamekeepers and grouse shooting. Not just grouse shooting, deer stalking. Oh, we've got a call coming in.
I'll just take this.
Hello, welcome to the Into the Wilderness podcast. Well, show, I should say, because we're not actually doing a proper podcast right now. Who are we speaking to?
You're speaking to Alex Stoddart.
Hi, Alex. No, of course. Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thanks. Our podcast supporter from Sachs. Thank you very much for calling in. How are you doing this evening?
I'm still in the Sachs office dealing with a members case right now, so it's been a very busy day.
So I'd say that's a little bit more than a 9 to 5 then.
Yeah, we tend to work 6 or 7 days, just depending on member workload. But a lot of the work we do by nature of the inquiries tends to be done in the evenings anyway, so it's usually a good place to be if you fancy a curry or a pizza. The Sachs office is quite busy at night, so there we go. Yeah, but
can you actually get a curry?
Quite busy year round, so a lot of member cases, a heck of a lot of farms licensing queries and licensing support cases. So it's been a manic year. We're hoping for a very quiet end to the year, but it hasn't been true, and we've been busy right the way through until now.
Just for those people who aren't aware of what Sachs do, what has your last 12 months been taken up with?
Oh, good heavens.
Where to start, I suppose, would be the
where to start. Well, because we represent people that hunt, shoot, fish, rod, gun, rifle, ferret, dog, whatever, falcons, we have a very broad church, and we represent members across the whole of the UK, from Northern Ireland to Shetland to Cornwall. And we obviously have a base in Scotland. We're known as the Scottish Association for Country Sports, but that's just the name. I think in terms of the nature of the work we do, we're definitely UK-wide. This year we've dealt with an awful lot of member cases, which is really a lot of what we do here at Sachs is driven by personal member support. At one time, we had 78 live member support cases on at one time.
Wow.
And that really is very, very hard work. But other than that, we do an awful lot of consultation work. We work with all the various regional governments and UK government, farms, licensing, wildlife law, legislative changes, that kind of thing. We consult widely with other organisations. We like to partnership work with others where we possibly can. And what we're driven by really is our positive outcomes and the greater common good.
So, in terms of consultations with government, obviously there's a few things going on right now. We brought up air rifles earlier tonight.
Yep.
What's going to be happening with that next year for those people who are not quite up to speed?
Right. Well, a lot of that's still yet to be determined or rather published. We have a current bill that is due to come into force sometime next year. We believe that will be April of next year. There are some rumours of delays in terms of the enactment of that, but it's proposed that there will be a 6 month lead-in time. So from the date that the bill will become effective, shooters will have around 6 months to actually comply with the law.
Okay.
The bill itself is, we believe, deeply flawed. At heart, at foundation level, there's no need for it. I mean, clearly in Scotland we have sufficient laws in terms of misuse of guns of any kind, including reckless and culpable discharge of any gun, including an air gun. So this will do nothing, in our view, to remedy air gun misuse.
if there was any element whatsoever of airgun misuse, that could very competently be addressed through training and information, which would be far cheaper than producing legislation. So this piece of legislation we don't believe is actually going to be effective, but it's coming in. Therefore, we have a duty of care to members to inform them of what's happening, to keep them abreast of the change and make sure that they are able to comply with the law. It will affect everybody that owns airguns in Scotland, but it will also affect people who want to use airguns in Scotland or bring airguns into Scotland from further afield. Very much along the lines of a current firearm certificate, the test for competence or safety or whatever you want to call it, to get one, the hurdle will be something akin to a Disclosure Scotland check for working with children. So if you would be the kind of person that would be permitted to work with kids, i.e. no substantive criminal background, etc., then quite likely you would be deemed to be fit and trustworthy to have an air weapon in Scotland. We dislike the term weapon being used. Unfortunately, given the 68 Firearms Act, that is actually a definition of firearm that's being used, the word weapon is used, and that's now transcribed itself across to the Scottish Air Weapons Bill as well. Unfortunate language, but the fact is that air guns are used safely, competently by many people. We've got lots of air gunners at SACS. We thoroughly support what they do. I've recently bought another airgun off one of the guys that called in recently. So it's good to hear his voice.
Alex, I have an airgun you can buy if you want.
Yeah. As long as it's not too expensive, let me know.
It's just sprung into my mind right now because Daryl mentioned it to me the other day. It's slightly off topic from what we were talking about, but in a podcast a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about lead ammunition and the discussion about banning lead ammunition in certain European countries and the possibility of that coming here.
I just want to interject. If anyone wants to listen to a very lengthy discussion on lead ammunition that we've talked about, all you need to do is download our previous podcast on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Just type in Pace Brothers Into the Wilderness. But carry on, Byron.
Yeah, what I was going to ask, Alex, is that would a lead ban, hypothetically speaking, affect air rifles? Because an air rifle pellet, as far as I know, apart from one type I remember when I was a kid, which was made of plastic, all air rifle pellets are lead because they fit the grooves of the barrel.
Okay, you've got a couple of areas there. In terms of lead itself, you obviously have a food safety element that's being discussed. Mm-hmm. Currently, there's an EU, not really substantial, an EU review in terms of lead and food. You also get lead in the environment. Mm-hmm. And the current legislation that we have in Northern Ireland, Scotland, England and Wales, obviously England and Wales is slightly different to Scotland in terms of how that's enacted. That covers lead shot from shotguns, and it doesn't currently cover either lead core from rifle bullets, centerfire rifle bullets, to rimfire ammunition, and it doesn't cover any kind of airgun pellet. Would this affect airgun pellets? Short answer, I believe, is a yes, potentially, both in terms of proposed food hygiene standards and lead poisoning from that, which we don't believe is actually irrelevant. There's far more lead that we believe in the environment in terms of food and potatoes and rice and other types of produce, latent in this produce, than there is in lead from pellets or shot. But we feel that there is a risk to airgun shooting from this. There are some lead alternatives out there, and tin has a couple of other derivatives of that alloys. I'm not entirely sure how well they work. Lead is obviously malleable. It works well at the speed that airguns fire lead at, mm-hmm. and is malleable in the rifling, so it's fairly accurate. It would be overly restrictive, in my view, for there to be some form of airgun pellet restriction on lead. I think that's just stupid. I think we're getting into the realms now of legislative silliness in terms of lead. We have SNH and Forestry Commission in Scotland currently using lead alternatives. We have rumours from many of our members who work in that sector too, who are using lead alternative ammunition for deer control purposes, that it's not working well for them. We also have a number of other people that say that actually in certain calibers and certain weights of bullet, it does work very well. There are many benefits to shooting, both in terms of airgun shooting, rifle shooting, shotgun shooting in the future. The lead story is very, very current. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. And we all need to be very conscious of what we're doing, both in terms of the message we're sending out and also a response to some of the accusations from the antis in terms of lead.
Mm-hmm. Just going back to something we were discussing earlier, but I think you're in a really good position to be able to shed a bit more light on this, is Daryl brought it up actually, social media responsibility and the consequences of that. We've heard from a couple of people tonight who have talked about the kind of things that you see on social media, but there are equally consequences from the hunting side for things that we put on social media, and I'm guessing that you probably see that in your office from time to time.
We see both the public posts that cause trouble, some of the private forum posts that cause trouble, and screenshots of private messages that get sent backs and forwards. Sometimes they're between marital disputes or spousal disputes. For partners fall out and there's disagreement and stuff. And at times, unfortunately, firearms licensing gets dragged into that, and there are spurious allegations made. Sometimes, unfortunately, allegations actually with some founding. The current social media platform for shooting is a real risk to us as a community, and hunting as well, and fishing too, because some of the imagery that we're sending out to the wider public can be corrupted. The message it isn't consistent, and it can be corrupted. And we have to understand that it's not how we see things through our eyes or hear things through our ears. We have to try and put ourselves in the shoes of those that don't understand what we do, people that do not come from our way of life. They have no empathy or understanding of what we do in the countryside with rifle, gun, fishing rod, ferret, falcon. It is a real challenge to all of us that there are certain elements in our community that communicate our positive message in a very negative way. A good example is putting photographs up on social media of foxes with the brains scattered across the countryside.
Which we talked about. We talked about earlier today.
Well, we all know if you shoot a lot, you know what happens. A high velocity bullet hits a skull, fox's skull. It's an instantaneous death. So the positive message there is that you have a very humane way of killing the creature that needs to be controlled. The government accepts that this creature has to be controlled. We do a very good job of that, and yet we send a very negative message by the way that we communicate that to a wider public. And many of these forums, they may very well be private forums, but much of this gets screenshotted and passed around the antis as well. So we have to think about what we're doing. We have to think about the message that we're trying to communicate. And we all, whether we're a young person starting out, 17 years of age with first firearm certificate, all very exciting, to somebody in the 72 years of age who I'm dealing with this evening, or on a social media matter as well, we have to be very careful how we communicate, both to each other and the wider audience. There's also a lot of aggression in social media, and we have to be careful that things that we say aren't taken out of context. For example, if you send a message to one of your mates saying, if you do that to my girlfriend again, I'll take you outside and shoot you, then that may very well have been said in jest and entirely innocent and just a bit of banter. But if you fall out with that friend may then use that against you in terms of firearms licensing. And we deal with the fallout from this pretty much every week in this office. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 at one time. And it seems to be corrupted messages, or messages that weren't really intended to be taken in negative context, but because they were communicated badly, certainly have been. And remember that your firearms licensing team doesn't share your sense of humor.
I'm not sure if you heard the talk we were having with Sergio earlier, where he was talking about the requirement to have more sort of formal testing for other aspects of hunting other than deer stalking in this country. I mean, I could understand where he was coming from in terms of making sure that people have an understanding of the quarry that you're hunting. Although I did express the idea that I didn't think it was something we actually needed to have regulation in place for. But what's your take of that from a sort of SACS standpoint, Alex?
Well, the SACS view is really tied into my view. I support the old SACS position here, which is that voluntary training of any kind is entirely adequate. There's a hunger and a thirst for that kind of training, and you see that when you go on deer stalking certificate 1 courses, and you've got people in front of you that are perhaps experienced and still learning, or they're tirers and new to this, and their eyes and ears are wide open. Everybody wants to absorb more information. And there's so much that's positive on the internet in terms of information. YouTube videos, there's a great deal of educational stuff out there. So there's no excuse not to be well informed. Perhaps some of the information isn't done in the best way, but I think there's never been a better platform for educating yourself as there is now. So I think there's already a latent hunger for information within the shooting and field sports community. That should be incentivized rather than legislated for. I see no requirement for any kind of mandatory testing at all whatsoever. And actually, if you just incentivize the voluntary element, you can make it far more interesting, far more engaging, and people actually want to go on the courses, not because you're getting wee badges and certificates at the end of the day, because every day, that cliche, is a school day. You'll always pick up something new. It's great to meet new people in whatever area you're working in, deer stalking, terrier, whatever. It's great to meet new folk, and it's great to learn new things. So I think to incentivize the voluntary approach is far better than going down a mandatory route.
I just want to interject there quickly, off topic completely. We are aware that there is a few people trying to get hold of us right now, and we will be taking 1, maybe 2 more phone calls after this one, and then we'll have to wrap it up because
everyone will need their bed.
Yeah, everyone will need their bed. But the number is 0131 618 8885. You can join in on any topics that we've been discussing or a way to discuss. Also, if you need to get hold of us, podcast Into the Wilderness Facebook page. You'll be able to get hold of us there. I think. What were we going to discuss next, Byron?
Well, I thought just to kind of finish up, Alex, just because this has been in the
it's just come back into social media. It's back on social media and it's in the news again.
There was a big post about
which is tail docking,
and the stance that we have in this country and where it might go, the chances for changing the current legislation that we have in place. Why it was brought in the first place, and the detrimental effects to working dogs, which is really the focus here. There's a lot of, I think most of the exception that people took to tail docking was for aesthetic appeal for show dogs, but there is a real requirement for working dogs and a reason for it. And I think you're probably in quite a good position to shed light on that.
I'm just going to give you just a small amount of background info. I only did a little bit of research. I've known about it. But from April 2007, the Animal Welfare Act basically forbid tail docking except in certain working dogs. And of course, in Scotland, it's banned completely. It used to be able to be done by breeders, but now it has to be done by a vet, from my understanding. That's period across the UK.
South of the border.
Yeah, south of the border, because you can't do it in Scotland.
So, I mean, where do you stand on that, Alex? And will there ever be, do you see a future where there'll be a movement where we can have it in working dogs, for real reasons for the health of dogs?
Well, those of us that have working dogs know full well that there's a real requirement for this. This is not some kind of made-up thing that we want. There are some really serious animal welfare considerations in regard to the lack of tail docking in Scotland right now. And unfortunately, in terms of terriers, there's never enough statistical evidence. Statistical basis is so low for that even to be discussed properly. However, for spaniels, HPRs, and some mixed breeds, there is a real requirement for that to be looked at urgently. I encourage anybody with an interest in this to have a look at the Facebook page, which is Evidence to Allow Tail Docking in Working Breed Dogs in Scotland. I'll give you guys a link to put up on the actual your page now.
I actually have it in front of me right now.
Oh, so you can stick that up, though.
I shall put that up for you.
Yeah, fantastic. So if people can engage with that, if you have any documentary evidence, photographs of your own dogs having tail damage, please put them up. Don't hold anything back, photos, videos, any information. We work very closely with other organisations here, the British Association for Shooting and Conservation in Scotland, Nicole Hamilton and Colin Shedden. They work very hard on this. Jamie Stewart, the Scottish Countryside Alliance, Charlie Shentel there, Scottish gamekeepers, Scottish Land in the States. We're all very, very keen on driving forward change in legislation that will allow an exemption for at least HPRs and spaniels. The current position is not good. It's a disaster for animal welfare. We are aware that Richard Lochhead, the Environment Secretary, actually understands this. The Secretary understands this, but what we're looking at now is a new public consultation sometime soon. So it's gone to RACI committee, the Rural Affairs Committee. It's gone back to Richard Lochhead. He's now writing to them. There's a proposed a public consultation going live soon, we believe, in regard to tail docking. The challenge there is that forever and a day it will become a platform for the League Against Cruel Sports, the Antis, to say things about what we do that is untruthful. What we are interested in is evidence, truth. We're interested in strong leadership, objective decision-making, a government that will take decisions on behalf of the wider electorate, not just driven by political creed or urban ethos. And tail docking is a great example of where the Scottish Government, if it actually pulls its finger out, can actually do some very good things for animal welfare.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if everybody can really try and stand back from the issue and think objectively about it, why would anybody wanting to work their dogs for hunting want the tail docked unless it was, for the health of that dog in terms of animal welfare? Because the actual having that bit of the end of the tail isn't going to make any difference to how well it hunts, but it will have a big impact on the welfare of that dog in the long term, or it could potentially do. So it's not for any other reason other than, people who work their dogs love their dogs and that, they want to take the best care of them.
It is such it is a major emotional trial to watch one of your dogs or dogs of friends go to a vet to have the tail amputated or have other remedial medical treatment because of tail damage. When at a vet's, as a puppy, a wee snip, no pain, that can be sorted out at a very, very early age.
Yeah.
The chances of infection, pain, further injury in the future are that much increased that there is a very, very strong case now for exemption. And we would really like the Scottish Government to show some leadership and make the right decision for animal welfare and not the wrong decision based on political creed.
Yeah, no, we can only hope. I mean, maybe we can just finish up with you, Alex. If you're looking forward into 2016, what do you see as one of the big challenges that you're going to face and shooting is going to face as we go into next year?
Oh, well,
if you can only pick one, I know there's so many, but if you can just pick one or even two.
I can throw lots your way, but we obviously have some big changes in licensing in the UK, some positive changes, and keep logged into the SACS page with some updates. But we also have challenges in the EU Firearms Directive, and I think you might be covering semi-automatic weapons at some point in the future. So yeah, there's a lot of miscommunication there, but the current proposals are negative in regards to shooting in the UK, so we're watching that very closely and very much involved. You also have major issues now in terms of wild fisheries, lead ammunition, community buyouts, land reform in Scotland. You've got some major changes in Northern Ireland where you have a substantially increased movement of antis, and that's affecting hunting with dogs and all sorts of other things over there. So we face challenges. I think at heart, okay, if you choose one thing at heart, I think we have to go down to the fact that society has changed, and people are now further and further removed from the countryside they originally came from. Their understanding and empathy with the countryside and countryside people is low, And I think sometimes we're guilty of really poor communication in that regard, but we face a really big challenge going forward in terms of the work that we do and communicating a message to a wider audience. And for clarity, we sponsor this podcast and these other podcasts and some films, but we have no involvement in editorial, directorial, otherwise.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a complete, this is an open forum for discussion, and we fully support the way that you're communicating a message to people that maybe don't hunt, shoot, and fish, people that don't come from that background. And that's where we really need to start engaging. It's not enough to engage with ourselves. We have to communicate with people outside of our kin.
Yeah, that's
a challenge for the future.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, Alex. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Okay.
Have a good evening.
All day.
Bye now.
Bye.
Well, I think we have time for maybe one more caller, but we are going to delve straight into the next topic. If you want to join in or know something about this next topic, which is in fact the John Muir Trust.
It is. That's what we're going on to, is it?
Yeah. Well, you've got it in your hand.
I did. Okay. I didn't realize this is what we were going on to next.
No. Well,
okay.
this has come up in the very, very recent few weeks, and Byron's actually holding my piece of paper. Which,
well, I'll give it to you since you highlighted it.
Well, I highlighted it. So what has been brought to the forefront is, I mean, this is straight from the Telegraph website. So I'll read you the title. And as with all things, titles are always a bit more, I don't know. They make it more
sensationalist.
Sensationalist titles. But I guess this is quite bad. Wilderness charity accused of slaughter of red deer. I mean, that was it. I mean, the 86 stags were shot in Knoydart and left to rot. That's the basis of this discussion.
And we were actually just looking across the water to Knoydart just a week ago from Skye. Actually.
Now I'm just going to read you an extract from the John Muir Trust website and their deer management policy, and then we'll go into what happened there and try and figure out what went wrong, basically. So this is straight from their website. You can go on, and this is their first policy: protect. We campaign to keep wild places free from inappropriate development and open for all to enjoy. Enhance. We work to restore natural habitats and native species to help nature flourish. Connect. We help people of all ages and backgrounds to connect and enjoy and care for wild places.
I think we're definitely going to come back to this at a later date because it warrants longer than we now have in this podcast.
Because we are running out of time, and I'm just going to briefly go into the John Muir Trust deer management policy. Just very quickly, native wild deer, particularly red deer, are an integral part of the wildland ecosystems. They bring economic and employment benefit from tourism, venison, stalking. This is the first line. I don't think you can actually see there, but this is literally the first line from their deer management policy. So the opening line.
Yeah, so that does beg the question then, why would you leave?
Why would you leave?
You actually have the number since I got it wrong earlier.
It's 86.
86.
They left 86 stags on the hill to rot. The pictures are all there. If you go on the Telegraph, you don't actually have to go on the Telegraph. It's all over the place. I think that the SGA really did share this quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I think they did. Yeah.
About.
So, I've been thinking about this a lot since it came out, and I was actually speaking to my cousin, who I know listens into our podcast, about this. He's involved in land management up north, and we were discussing this, and he actually had a slightly different point of view on this than me. The idea of leaving good meat and carcasses and culling a vast number of animals, and obviously that's what's been found. I have nothing to back this up, but you would suggest that if it's been done once, it's probably been done at some point in the past and it hasn't been found, but that's me guessing. So his point was that if they're managing that ground for tree regeneration and the rewilding process, which is another topic which we won't bring up today, but will be part of another podcast.
It's on the board,
but we've run out of
time.
And it is not economically viable because of the terrain. I mean, Knoydart is a vast place and it's very rugged. If it's not economically viable to extract those carcasses, then what is wrong with shooting them and leaving the bacteria to do its thing? And I mean, it did make me stand back a bit and think about it. And it is a really good question to put out there. And maybe people listening to that can have a think about it, and we can bring it up when we bring it up again, when we actually do a more extended podcast on this, we can revisit it. But
I'll just bring in, I mean, obviously you're saying leave it, and and it goes basically.
This is what he was saying to me.
Yeah, no, I do understand. The eagles will eat it. It'll go back into nature. 86. I mean, it's not particular. I mean, they want to promote people walking in the countryside. I wouldn't particularly like walking past 86 dead deer.
No.
And they're also they're opening,
and the value of the venison.
Well, this is it. Their opening line of they bring economic and employment benefit from tourism, venison, and stalking. Now, the estimated amount. Once again, this is from the Telegraph. Article, so I'm just reading it from here. Is the estimated amount of potential income was around about £100,000, which would
that'll take into account the stalking fees, accommodation, and the value of the meat,
which would probably be about right, actually. I think with 86 deer, depending on
depending on the quality.
So you can't really say that it's bringing they bring economic benefit if you're just going to leave them to rot. And I think that you could probably justify going, well, we left some out there to, go back into nature to be eaten if there was a few of them.
A good example of that, actually, is in Harris. When I was in Harris a couple of years ago, they actually have a quota for culling red deer on the hill and leaving them for the eagles, which you brought up earlier. And they specifically do that to provide food for young eagles. They do it at a particular time of year where they're searching for food and they've not that long fledged. And that makes perfect sense. It makes sense to help that species on its way by doing that. There's a justification for it. But that the vast number of deer that were shot there are a lot of questions that have been raised, and rightly so.
Apparently some had their haunches removed and found beheaded where they fell.
Well, I mean, that might suggest that some of the meat's been taken off if the haunches have been removed.
Yeah,
beheaded. What for? For the trophy? I don't know.
Perhaps.
I mean, I'm raising questions here that I don't have the answers to.
We don't have the answers to all these. I mean, it does say here the justifications, the trust actions could not be justified by food for eagles. This was, in fact, Sir Patrick Grant, chairman of Knoydart Deer Management Group, talking about that. Now, just quickly, we have time for one more caller. The phone has actually been going nuts before, and now it's gone quiet.
I think everyone's gone to bed.
Everyone's gone to bed. It's 0131 618 8885. Please get involved. We have time for one more caller, and then we'll be calling it a night, because I think this has been quite successful for our first live event.
And I think it's gone pretty well. But what we will do, I think, in the meantime, is because I really want to play another track. Just because it kind of makes me feel like a DJ. So
okay, well,
so we'll play another track.
You can talk while I'm gonna look.
We're watching. So if you do want to phone in. We'll interrupt the track. We don't mind that, and we will take your call, and you will be the final person for the night. And are we going to play another Alex track? Or are we going to play
we're going to play another Alex track just
track.
Because it's in front of me.
Okay.
And also, I like Alex's music. So please get in touch. 0131 618 8885. I'm going to go and get another drink because I'm very thirsty. And we are away to wrap up for the night. But we've got time for one more call. And I hope everyone has enjoyed so far. It's
really big thank you to all those people who have taken the time to watch.
Very big thank you for the people that have been staying on. And we've had people, New York.
We've made it big time.
I never thought we would make it to America tonight, I have to say.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be my mom and dad watching.
I don't think they are.
No, I don't think they are, which is horrifying. If you tell our dad...
That's probably because of our internet, though.
Yeah, well, rural internet, that's another issue. Luckily, we have the satellite beaming internet into our house here. Not due to we wanted it. It's the only option.
Yeah.
But we're going to play you another track. Please call, and we'll get we'll speak to you.
Last person, yeah.
Last person, and we'll chat about whatever you want to chat about. Or we'll decide. I don't know. Here we go. This is called The Hunt. If it plays. Oh. See, as soon as Byron gets involved, it stops working.
I haven't touched it.
And we will be back very, very shortly.
I'm lost out in the wilderness with just the hope that I might find what I came for. You see, I'm searching for.
Mark, I'm just interrupting this track. I've just got your messages on Facebook, and you bring up some very valid points. I thought I'd call in, but I'm gonna go for now, and I'm gonna. Mark, you know who you are, so I'm gonna go and get a drink.
Part that makes me. I'm on the hunt, but a piece escapes me. I'm on the hunt for the part that's missing. I'm on the hunt. For too long I've been without the heart of the thing I want. So out here I'll find it. You spent too long sat in the warming sun. I need the cold of the dark and the bite of the winter. Say no. I'll find it out. I'm on the hunt for the part that makes me. I'm on the hunt, but the piece escapes me. And I'm on the hunt for the part that's missing. I'm on the hunt. I'll find it out. I'm on the hunt for the part that makes me. I'm on the hunt, but the piece escapes me. And I'm on the hunt for the part that's missing. I'm on the hunt. No, I'll find it out.
And that was our final track for the night.
That was.
Oh no! What have you done? It's a good track too. Okay.
So sorry about that. We let it carry. We're not actually DJs, so we have a board in front of us, but we don't actually know what we're really doing with it.
I don't know which buttons to press. I don't know if Mark is going to call in. He follows us. We don't really know Mark, but he follows us on Facebook, and he's a big Twitter fan of ours, which is great, and we really appreciate his comments. But he did bring up a point, just in case he's not going to phone in, is that in the States,
and not just the States, New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah, New Zealand, absolutely. It's very much appropriate there.
Which I have been to and witnessed it.
Yeah, and my one cousin is there right now. In fact, he is going hunting next week with a hammer rifle that he has just bought, because we were talking about it the other night, and he was asking me, he was just telling me about the YouTube videos he'd watched about packing out meat.
I just want to put Josh James, Kiwi Bushman.
Oh, yeah. Coolest man on the planet.
If you go on YouTube, just type in Josh James, Kiwi Bushman. That guy has great videos on YouTube on everything. He does everything from like bushcraft, making bows, arrows, hunting,
and in serious terrain.
In serious New Zealand terrain, as you can imagine. It's like here. I mean, I went to New Zealand. It looks like Scotland.
Oh, hang on, we've got a call.
Oh, got a call. Hello, welcome to the Into the Wilderness podcast. Who are we speaking to?
Now then, it's Mark.
Mark, you have phoned in. Brilliant.
Well, I thought I'd best do.
No, yes. So,
well, we did call you out. We said, yeah. Mark, you got a call.
So, I'll tell you what. Just fire straight off. We were kind of talking about what you had messaged us with. I mean, just tell us what you were saying about terrain and the different countries and how they managed to make it work.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean.
So, Mark, can I just stop you there? Is there any chance that you can turn off us in the background, because we get an echo otherwise?
Yes, that's what I just did.
Thank you very much. It's just really strange listening to ourselves 3 times.
Yeah, no, basically what it is
when you look at the terrain in US, for example, and you watch a lot of videos by US hunters and stuff, they're trekking for hours and hours, whereby, you know, they shoot the deer, but they pack it all out, generally on foot, you know, where they're walking potentially 2 or 3 hours to get back to a vehicle, and they're having to make several trips forwards and backwards, yet they still manage to pack all this meat out, and they don't leave anything to waste.
Yeah, you know, it's a really good point. That, I mean, their whole ethos behind in hunting there is very different to us. And in fact, for you to get a tag for some of those animals that they hunt, one of the requirements of that tag is that you take every single bit of meat out. You cannot. It's a legal requirement. You cannot leave it out in the mountains. I mean, if you look at guys there who are kind of well known, Joe, another podcaster actually, Joe Rogan. He does a lot of UFC stuff, but he's also a big hunter. He's a really cool character, if not controversial. He's definitely worth checking out if you like podcasts. Joe Rogan. Cameron Hanes is another one. Yeah. I mean, he kind of takes it to the extreme of being the ultimate predator. In fact, he made Brandon Shockey made a like promo trailer called The Ultimate Predator with him. And that was really cool because basically what he was saying is, if you're going to do something, be the best at it. And he does ultra, you know, he does super
Iron Man kind of
athlete. Yeah. But the whole point behind the reason why I bring him up is that there's quite a lot of footage of them, you know, doing these extreme hunts miles away from anywhere, being dropped in by plane and then hiking for days and days out. And they do exactly what you've just said. They cut the whole thing out and they backpack it out. And it could take 2, 3, 4 trips. I mean, we're talking about animals.
Elks.
Yeah, well, yeah, that are way bigger than anything we've got in this country. And yet they still manage to do it. So I guess, you know, that was your point with, you know, the John Muir Trust.
Well, that's it. I mean, I've watched Travis Schneider of Stuck in the Rut, you know, and he's made 3, 4, maybe even 5 trips back to an elk that is shot to pack all the meat out. You know, and these are like 2-hour trips, you know, going forwards and backwards. Yet he's done it, so I can't see why, you know, why terrain in this country would be an issue. I mean, Tim Burnett of Solo Hunter, he has quite a good ethos whereby he says that if you can't carry it out on your back, carry it out on your stomach.
Oh, right, yeah. Just stay out there long enough to consume it. I
like that. I haven't heard that one before, but I like that. And just to add to packing out, me and Byron have, in fact, in our series, been doing exactly that. We've been walking it out, and I've not had to walk one out yet, and I will be.
Yeah, that's because you're shooting the next 3, so you're going to be walking them out.
And it is hard. It is hard work. There's no two ways about it. It is bloody hard work. Walking an animal out on our terrain. Bear in mind, the terrain that we have been on the last week or so on the Isle of Skye has been horrendous. It's been wet. You know, just walking has been, without anything, has been pretty hard. But in especially New Zealand and countries like that, I would say they're more extreme than here.
Those guys are hardcore. I saw something with Josh James the other day, and he carried a wetsuit with him. So that when he was carrying whatever it was that he was carrying back, he could put his wetsuit on to cross the glaciated water from the river to take his animals across. I mean, we just don't do that here. I mean, most people, they won't shoot animals in an area that is a hard extraction. Now, that's actually quite smart if you think about it. But on the other hand, you know, there are some places in this country which are really, really tough to get to.
Yeah, you
can't take an Argo there. Most places you can get a pony.
A pony, yeah.
But there isn't a pony in all these places.
Definitely.
Yeah, but we kind of have a different mindset. We don't shoot something there. Whereas in America, they shoot it, they cut it up, they put it in backpacks, and they take it home. Whereas no one's really doing that here. And I don't really know why. I don't know. Maybe it's just a culture thing.
Maybe. I don't know.
What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I think possibly with America, because they have the tag system whereby it costs you money to purchase a tag or to put in for a tag, whether you get it or not, I think they spend a lot of time putting in the groundwork to try and fill that tag, because if they don't fill it by the end of that season, then that's it, the tag's gone, the money's gone, they don't get it back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've looked into the American tag system and trying to get tags and things like that when I was thinking about maybe going over. But it's a case of, if I was going over, I'd go to a dedicated outfitters and do it that way. Because otherwise, you've got...
And they've applied for tags themselves with the outfitter.
Yeah. They put in for the tag. They've got a certain number of tags, so therefore they can offer you this hunt or whatever it is that you want, and you'd have to do anything other than turn up, go out, shoot the animal, and everything else is taken care of. Whereby in this country, because all right, you may be paying for a guided stalk and to go out and stuff like that, but it's not the be all and end all, you know. Whereas you've got such a small window of opportunity to go for it. That I think it is like you say, it's a completely different ethos and it's a completely different mindset. It's like when I messaged earlier on regards the hunting and shooting programs that they have on TV over there.
Yeah, I got your message, and basically Mark messaged early on saying, why is it basically that in America, not just America, I think New Zealand might have one, they have dedicated channels, so the outdoor channel and so on, dedicated hunting channels. That's literally all they do. I mean, you have radio shows as well. I mean, you have to just go on TuneIn Radio. Montana Byron listens to it.
Eagle Country Radio, and one of the best radio stations on this planet, and their adverts have fishing reports. They're going to tell you what's hatching that day, the temperature of the water height, where you can buy the latest, where all the latest deals on rifles are. It's awesome. If you're into hunting at all, listen to Eagle Country Radio Montana.
You know, and they just really push it. You know, dedicated channels to hunting, dedicated radio stations for it, adverts for it everywhere. I don't think you'll ever see it in this country.
Well, I would like to hope that you're wrong, but.
I don't know. It's one of these things. I think there's enough people to warrant it. I mean, you probably find that more people watch hunting YouTube programs in the UK than they watch X Factor.
Maybe.
Now I'm talking not X Factor when it started. X Factor now.
You've really lowered the tone, eh, Mark? Has he not lowered the tone?
Sorry,
X Factor
I didn't mean to bring X Factor into this.
No, well, you know, somebody had to. No, I think as well, it's things like with gun manufacturers, they produce hunting programs and stuff themselves over there for the Sportsman's Channel.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
You know, and
Winchester Deadly something, whatever it's called.
Winchester Deadly Passions.
You know all of it. The only reason you know that is because Melissa Buckman's one of their people, isn't it?
We'll not get into that. Although I did actually message Melissa this evening to let her know that you were going to be on and that you were actually wanting to talk to female hunters and different bits and pieces. But obviously whether she got the message in time or not, I don't know, I can't say. But yeah, it was that whole sort of thing whereby you have the Winchester Deadly Passion, you got the manufacturers like Primos that do the truth about hunting and stuff like that, and it's all, you know, such a massive thing over there. You know, now I think in this country, I think we're missing out on a massive thing, you know, whereby it could be really good, it could take off. It's just there's not really anybody doing it.
Yeah, it's a hard thing, and there are a couple of people trying to do things a bit differently now.
There are.
It's trying to get it in front of the right places. I mean, you take this podcast, for example, you know, the one that we've been doing. We've been really, really, you know, happy and with the support that we've got, and we can't thank the people who actually listen to the podcast enough.
Literally thousands.
Yeah, it is thousands.
We are in the thousands.
If you think about the amount of people who hunt in this country and the kind of messages and the debate that's being had, it should really be more, because these are the exact debates that we need to get in the public domain, and we try and do them in a way that, you know, it's not, you know, guns and ammo and ballistics and technical stuff all the time, and we don't really touch on that at all. It really is the hard topics, and we do want to get on the show some people who do have that opposite opinion. Funny enough, it is actually quite difficult to get them to come on. But, you know, we're trying to balance it as much as we can, But we really need, even though we've had the most amazing support from people, you know, mainly from the shooting world, but not everybody, but mainly from the sort of hunting world. We need more, because the more you've got, the more chance you have of getting these discussions like we've had tonight out there. And if you can get it out to the public, then you have a chance of winning.
Which all our podcasts are. They're all available to the public on many, many platforms, and people are listening. We are aware that there was a few upset people when it was just a banner on YouTube, and it was just talking, and we are aware of that, and we're always trying to improve. You know, I mean, admittedly, they just called it shit, but I mean, to put it bluntly, they did, but we are trying to improve. So from now on, we're going to be filming, like, you know, recording our podcast to make it a bit more interesting. The only reason why we actually put it on YouTube is just so more people can listen. Another platform to listen, but iTunes is our biggest platform. That's where we get the thousands of people downloading, which is very, very nice. Thank you for everyone that has downloaded so far to all our podcasts.
Yeah. That's it. It's like my brother, you know, like, I know he messaged you earlier.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And said, you know, that he's listening while he's at work, sort of between deliveries and things, you know, but he sort of put the thing across tonight whereby there's not been a massive amount of people viewing it, but there will be a hell of a lot of more people downloading it.
Yeah, there will,
Because obviously people may be actually at work now and they haven't got time to sit and actually watch it all and take part in it like that. But obviously it's early doors. It's the first time you've done this live phoning, and so it's obviously only going to get better as more people sort of pick up on it and get their opinions across and think, yes, we can actually phone in. I mean, I tried to get my cousin to phone in because he's an auntie. You know, so I tried to get him to phone in, but he said, well, he doesn't know who you are, so he would feel a bit out of place, you know, and a bit out of his comfort zone ringing in and trying to talk about something, which only goes to show that he actually knows nothing whatsoever about what he's talking about, because otherwise you would feel that he'd be prepared to ring in and fight his case, you know, and stand his ground.
Yeah, look, I mean, we when we do this again, and we won't do it again for the next podcast, but we'll do it again at some point.
Yeah,
in the future.
We definitely will.
To give we
would never make someone feel uncomfortable.
No, because we genuinely want to hear people's opinions, whether we agree with them or not. We want people to be able to.
We won't get angry with you.
No, we're not going to shout.
We're not going to shout.
We're not going to do what the aunties do to poor little 15-year-old kids on Facebook. That's not what we're about.
No. But thank you very much for calling. We are going to have to wrap this up, unfortunately, because we have completely run out of time.
But Mark, I'm sure you will be listening next time, and when we come up with other topics next time, message us as you have been doing, because it's great support, and we hope to have you on again because it's been great.
Yeah, no worries. I will do, definitely.
Okay. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Right. Have a good evening. See you later.
Well, that will be our final call of the evening. We haven't even covered half our board.
I don't even think, no, not even half. I don't even think we've covered a quarter, but it doesn't matter because the point is people have called in, people have talked about what they wanted to talk about, and that really was the key.
So, I mean, we're gonna finish up here, but for everyone that's listening, we've had a huge discussion tonight on various different things. This will be available on YouTube. Basically from now, I think. As soon as we finish it, we've never done this before, so I think
it'll be live.
I think it's live as soon as we finish it. You can go back and watch. We're also going to make it into a downloadable podcast because we are actually recording it as well, just the audio version. So you should be able to get that, and you can get that on iTunes. You can get it on Stitcher for Android phones. It also works on Apple phones. SoundCloud as well, which isn't a downloadable version. It's just
you can download it actually.
Can you?
Yeah, you can, but I think it's not nice. It's not friendly on your phone,
so it doesn't hug
you. Can download.
It doesn't hug you. It doesn't hug you. Is that what you're saying?
Download it on your computer if you really wanted to.
Okay. Well, anyway, you can listen on SoundCloud. It's we always have the links up, but if you head to Podcast Into the Wilderness, that is where we're trying to aim to put all our podcast stuff, because there's so much stuff. We're trying to not clutter
because our Pace Brothers Into the Wilderness is really going to be the series. Our talked about a little bit tonight.
Yeah, our show, which we are in the process of filming and editing, and the Pace Brothers Into the Wilderness page will be solely dedicated, hopefully, just to that show, especially when it launches. And then we've got over 1,000 people on that page So thank you very much for everyone that's liked it so far. And the podcast page was only launched 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And that was solely just so that we weren't cluttering your news feed on our other page with stuff that you might not necessarily like our podcast. But please download it. You can listen to all of the backdated ones. The one in particular I want you to listen to, it's nothing to do with hunting at all. It's Antarctic endurance. A good friend of mine, Chris Cunningham, is sailing off to the Antarctic very shortly to follow in Shackleton's footsteps. So it would be much appreciated if you went on their Facebook page and just check them out. It's going to be
give them some support.
One truly epic adventure. It's the Royal Navy, Royal Marines that are doing this expedition, and hopefully he'll like that. I've given him a shout out because I didn't actually tell him I was going to do this. But honestly, head to their Facebook page. They're going to be on one epic adventure, and we are all about adventure and hunting and countryside and everything that goes with it.
Yeah, thank you very much for everybody who's been watching tonight.
Thank you everyone that's listening tonight, and
we hope you enjoyed.
We do hope you enjoyed.
Please, we've enjoyed it.
We have actually enjoyed it, and please, if you've watched the show, comment on our page, give us a like.
Yeah, that really helps.
It really
Let us know what you like.
Let us know what you like, what you don't like. The only way we can improve is by letting us know. And it's the same with our podcast. I am going to wrap this up very quickly.
I know, you're just rattling on, man.
It's the same with our podcast. We have thousands of people downloading, and I'm assuming they're liking it because they're downloading the next episodes, but we get very little feedback from it. We do get some. So please let us know. Let us know what's going on.
Even if it's just to say good.
Yeah, just one word.
Yeah, that would be enough.
And
if you don't like it, tell us so we know what to do better.
Yeah, know what to do better. And also, if you download on iTunes, could you please just give us a review?
Oh yeah, that really helps because that bumps it up, and then that means that it's going to be in front of the public, and that is what all of this is about: getting it in front of the public. And I think that's us.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Good night.